you go set it for them. Who no like me, so still like them. Mama, let me live, I'm in love with my friend. Stepping at the club, them say I choo. Everybody asking, how you do? I hear that you want color and something new. Well, I don't really ready and
everybody dance now. John, it's me at the dance hall to a face. Everybody a do the blaming. People are practice night and day. We do the blaming.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is...
It's 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the Constitutional Court says the high levels of crime that plagued the country between 2018 and 2023 did not constitute an emergency.
The declaration is contained in a landmark ruling issued on Friday.
The government says it will appeal the decision as it views the level of murders in the country as an emergency.
But opposition leader Mark Golding is hailing the ruling.
Today's landmark ruling is a resounding victory for the Constitution, for the rule of law, and for the people of Jamaica.
The Senate has passed a bill that will allow the government to use tax incentives to attract large-scale investments valued at $1 billion.
In news from the rest of the world, I won't let him talk to our children. TNT Prime Minister reveals she restricted Vybz Kartel's movements in the country.
The U.S. Supreme Court has barred Trump from quickly resuming deportation of Venezuelans.
In headline sports, Tina Clayton runs fastest time in the world as 3 Jamaicans score wins at Diamond League in Doha.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, in a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court has declared the government's repeated use of states of emergency as a crime-fighting tool unconstitutional. The Attorney General of Jamaica, Dr. Derek McCoy, will respond.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask Chinese Skip or Dandy Shandy. Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, the PMP has won a major victory in having the repeated use of states of emergency struck down. King's Counsel Michael Hilton and the PMP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell will react to the ruling.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's Friday, May 16, 2025.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Jamaica's Constitutional Court has determined that the high levels of crime that plagued the country over the 5-year period between 2018 and 2023 did not constitute an emergency. The declaration is contained in a landmark ruling issued on Friday. Justices Bertram Morrison, Andrea Pettigrew Collins, and Simone Wolfe Rees found that the general high levels of crime cited as justification by the security forces and relied upon by the Holness administration did not meet the constitutional standard. It's the latest in a string of court defeats for the Holness-led government. Ricardo Brooks has been reading the 44-page document.
In 2017, more than 1,600 Jamaicans were murdered. St. James alone accounted for 335 of those murders. It was one of the highest murder tallies in any parish in decades. The situation caused widespread alarm and resulted in calls for action. On January 18, 2018, Prime Minister Andrew Holness advised the country that the Governor-General had declared a state of public emergency across the parish. At the time, Holness indicated that the security forces had advised him that crime in the parish was of such a nature and so extensive in scale that it warranted the declaration. On Friday, the judges of the Constitutional Court threw cold water on that security advice. In their judgment, no emergency existed within the meaning of the Jamaican Constitution. In dismissing evidence provided to the court by Deputy Commissioner of Police Clifford Blake, the judges reasoned that the senior crime fighter had not identified the person or bodies of persons who had taken action to warrant the imposition of a state of emergency. The judges say DCP Blake only described, in general terms, the high crime rate in various areas. Despite the government's argument that the Governor General declared the states of emergency to secure the essentials of life in the affected communities, the three learned judges declared that there was no evidence of that. According to the judges, the fact that there was a sharp decline in murders and shootings during the period of a state of emergency is not within the spirit of the requirement of the Constitution. The judges reasoned that an argument of the ends justified the means was not persuasive. In a particularly surprising part of the judgment, it also appears the judges believe the normalization of a high crime rate in Jamaica means it can no longer be considered an emergency. According to their reasoning, there is logic and good sense in the assertion that a state of affairs which persists over a period of years cannot properly be described as an emergency. They determine that under the Constitution, an emergency is something sudden or unexpected that negatively impacts an entire community. They say in order for the declaration to be valid, the Governor General must be satisfied that the action is sudden and on so extensive a scale that it is likely to endanger public safety. The judges say the action must have already been taken or is immediately threatened. They say a state of emergency as intended by the Constitution would be justified if a war was imminent, there was an earthquake or hurricane, or if the country's democratic institutions were threatened by subversion. Criminologists have repeatedly pointed out that the country's murder rate is in fact equivalent to countries that are at war. The judges argued that the persisting problem of murders in areas such as St. James is evidence that the declaration of the states of emergency has not achieved the goal of containing serious criminal activities in the areas it was imposed. This, they say, proves the declarations were not demonstrably justified or proportionate. Finally, the judges found that the declaration of new states of emergency, days after the expiration of another, was an attempt by the government to circumvent the constitutional provisions and process. The declarations were declared void and inconsistent with the Constitution. Ricardo Brooks for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the Holness administration says it will continue to view the high level of murders in the country as a national emergency. It made the statement while declaring it will appeal the ruling of the Constitutional Court. In a statement on Friday, the Attorney General indicated that the legal and constitutional implications of the ruling were being reviewed for the appeal. The statement says the administration will continue to support the security forces amid a historic reduction in crime. The government points to effective crime-fighting strategies, historic investment, an increase in the number of police personnel, enhanced intelligence operations, and states of emergency as the causes for the reductions in crime now being recorded. The Holness administration says the imposition of states of emergency resulted in the reduction of murders and saved lives. The administration says it remains committed to the fight against crime and maintaining public safety while respecting the rule of the law.
And opposition leader Mark Golding has welcomed Friday's ruling as a victory for the rule of law in Jamaica. Mr. Golding says the ruling vindicates the PNP's position.
Today's landmark ruling by the Supreme Court of Jamaica is a resounding victory for the Constitution, for the rule of law, and for the people of Jamaica. The court has affirmed what the PNP has long argued, that the multiple and extended use of states of emergency as a routine crime-fighting tool is a violation of the Constitution's extraordinary emergency powers.
According to the opposition leader, there is now sufficient evidence that there can be a reduction in crime and murders without relying on emergency powers.
It is significant that recent statistics reveal a marked decline in murder rates, which has been accomplished by targeted law enforcement measures without recurring states of emergency. Jamaica's long-term security hinges on appropriate policing strategies, robust democratic institutions, and community-led solutions, all achievable without unconstitutional violations of fundamental rights and freedoms.
Mark Golding, opposition leader.
And Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, is welcoming the Supreme Court's ruling that the frequent use of states of emergencies was unconstitutional. In a release on Friday, the human rights lobby group says the ruling validates its concerns that the SOEs sought to undermine the constitutional rights of citizens. The group also expressed disappointment at the government's announcement that it's appealing the ruling. It says the posture disregards the court's clear findings on constitutional violations and risks perpetuating unlawful practices that harm vulnerable Jamaicans. JFJ says while it acknowledges the need to address the country's crime monster, that fight should not erase the rights of Jamaicans. The lobby group is also calling on the government to support those unlawfully detained under SOEs between 2018 and 2023 who are seeking compensation.
In other news now, the government will soon be able to use tax incentives to attract large-scale investments valued at $1 billion or more to better drive economic growth in the country. This is after the Senate passed the Large-Scale Projects and Pioneer Industries Tax Relief Act on Friday. The Industry Minister, Senator Aubin Hill, who piloted the bill through the Upper House, says a number of such projects are on the horizon. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The Large-Scale Projects and Pioneer Industries Tax Relief Act 2025 will allow the government to incentivize large-scale investments valued at $1 billion or more through the Minister of Finance utilizing tax relief benefits. Industry Minister Senator Aubin Hill says the legislation will be flexible and capable of meeting the needs of each individual project.
The Minister of Finance can approve annual tax benefits up to a limit of 0.25% or a different amount proposed by the minister but subject to an affirmative resolution passed by Parliament. However, within that tax cap, Mr. President, the minister has a measure of flexibility to address the specific and particular requirements of each prospective LPPIA investor, because each one will have particular idiosyncrasies that they will want to have done. Simply put, Mr. President, this piece of legislation is aimed at facilitating ease, predictability, and transparency in the granting of incentives to entities seeking to invest significantly in Jamaica.
The new legislation is a revamp of the original, which was enacted in December 2023. However, it has not been able to take effect due to the need for significant reworking. Minister Hill says at least one such project could be announced in the not-too-distant future. However, Deputy Leader of Opposition Business, Senator Donna Scott Motley, while welcoming the development, says it's over a decade late.
But as I listened to the minister, I thought it was important that I remind him that you all have been in government for the last 10 years. And that of the last 18 years, you have sat in that space for 14 years. And this particular matter, we know that the investor, which the Prime Minister will take the opportunity of announcing shortly, has been waiting for a decade for you to get this right.
She further noted the decline in foreign direct investment as a percentage of GDP under the Andrew Holness administration. However, Government Senator Abka Fitz-Henley says the Holness administration has created a climate to enable investments of all scales. He says this is in stark contrast to the tax-heavy era of the PNP government.
There is a clear difference between the current administration and those who now aspire to political office when the matter of incentives and taxation are contemplated. There was a time, sir, when heavy-handed PNP policy placed a burden on the Jamaican people. Indeed, during the last term, the PNP administration heaped 60 billion in taxes on the backs of the Jamaican people. That was an era when taxes were applied to patty and all manners of items enjoyed by the Jamaican masses. PNP administration proposed that any time Jamaicans endeavored to take minor sums of monies from their bank account, they had to pay over fees to the government. A diabolical initiative, inimical to efforts to cause an economy to expand.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Celebrate 26 years with IQ Optical. Enjoy 26% off your prescription eyewear and sunglasses this month only. Book your appointment or take your prescription to IQ Optical in New Kingston, Manor Park, or Drexel. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is
15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 in Montego Bay.
Make a toast to your future. The JTA Cooperative Credit Union is by your side. All educators, the best is what you deserve.
We'll keep your dreams alive.
Competitive loans to help you grow.
We'll take you higher.
Great returns on your savings. A bright future is in the making.
Build the best you with the best credit union. We are committed to serving you.
The JTA Cooperative Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
Continuing the news, Constable Noel Maitland allegedly broke down in tears after being told that none of Donnelly Donaldson's friends had seen or heard from her. That's according to the testimony of one of Donnelly's close female friends in the Supreme Court on Thursday. She's the second witness to testify in the murder trial of Maitland. The trial began on Tuesday. Maitland was the boyfriend of Donnelly. She's presumed dead, having gone missing on July 12, 2022. Dana Davy reports.
Jamaica is searching for a new Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP. The Office of the Service Commission has advertised the Chief Prosecutorial post as the incumbent Paula Llewellyn prepares to demit office in September. Llewellyn has served as DPP since 2008. She's the first woman to hold the post. She has effectively enjoyed 2 extensions of her term in office. The opposition People's National Party recently lost a legal challenge in the Court of Appeal seeking to bar Llewellyn from continuing in office until September. Under Section 94 of the Constitution, the DPP is empowered to initiate or discontinue criminal prosecutions and appeals across the country. When exercising that power, the holder of the office cannot be directed or controlled. Interested persons have until June 6 to apply. The post comes with a starting salary of $17 million. That salary can reach as high as $20 million.
The nurse who was brutally assaulted by a motorist in Mount Airy St. Andrew on Tuesday is receiving treatment at the University Hospital of the West Indies. The update was given by Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton.
The incident that took place involving our healthcare worker must be condemned as a heinous, brutal act. And we must ensure that the law takes its course and the perpetrators or perpetrator should be punished to the full extent of the law. At this point, the health system through the University Hospital of the West Indies is providing care to our healthcare worker, and I've reached out to her relatives and will continue to offer whatever support is necessary for her full and speedy recovery.
The nurse was reportedly on her way to work at a corporate area hospital when, on reaching a section of the road, she encountered a motorist driving recklessly ahead of her in a Mercedes-Benz. The incident, which took place on Tuesday evening on Mount Friendship Road in Mount Airy St. Andrew, was captured on video and posted to social media. In it, the man is seen tussling with the nurse, who was dressed in a white tunic and white trousers. At one point, the man appears to lift the nurse, flip her over, and slam her to the ground. The nurse could be heard crying out in agony. The video also shows the man dragging the nurse directly behind the right rear wheel of the car and standing on her head. The man has yet to be charged. His name is being withheld until the investigation is complete. Dr. Tufton is urging the public to be respectful and protective of the nation's healthcare workers.
I urge all of us to recognize the importance of our healthcare workers, the essential nature of the service they provide, the fact that they have to be on the roads at all hours, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that we provide the support that is required of them to get to work on time and to help them to achieve the life-saving purpose for which they were trained and that they are committed to. Again, I condemn this act and hope that the consequences of those actions demonstrate in the full extent why this is unacceptable.
Dr. Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health and Wellness.
Sections of the corporate area experienced heavy flooding as thunderstorms impacted parts of the island on Friday. According to the Met Service, the inclement weather is being caused by a trough moving across the country. It says the trough is expected to remain through to Friday night. As a result, the Met Service says a ridge, which is described as high atmospheric pressure, is forecast to build across the island. Videos on social media showed sections of Kingston and St. Andrew inundated with water. Motorists are being urged to drive with caution. According to the Met Service, intermittent showers and thunderstorms are expected to continue into the weekend.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Prime Minister Kamla Persad Bissessar says she is responsible for the Minister of Defense's decision to restrict Jamaican dancehall artist Vybz Kartel's interaction with school children and the media in Trinidad and Tobago. Kartel is set to visit the Twin Island on May 26 in preparation for his concert on May 31. However, Defense Minister Wayne Sturge says the dancehall artist is barred from media interviews and other events. According to an immigration order, Sturge has blocked Kartel from a morning radio interview, a midday TV appearance, and a local press drop-in. He's also blocked a meet and greet, a visit to a school or youth center, a cultural lunch with community leaders, and an official meet and greet. Sturge says he was concerned Kartel's appearance could have a negative impact on the country's vulnerable youths. In a Facebook video on Friday, Kartel says he has no problem with his movements being restricted when he visits the country. He noted that his job is to come to perform for the people of Trinidad.
The U.S. Supreme Court on Friday barred the Trump administration from quickly resuming deportations of Venezuelans under an 18th century wartime law enacted when the nation was just a few years old. After over two dissenting votes, the justices acted on an emergency appeal from lawyers for Venezuelan men who have been accused of being gang members. It's a designation that the administration says makes them eligible for rapid removal from the United States. The court indefinitely extended the prohibition on deportations from a North Texas detention facility under the Alien Enemies Law. The case will now go back to the Fifth Circuit of the U.S. Court of Appeals, which declined to intervene in April. President Trump quickly voiced his displeasure on the prohibition via his Truth Social platform. The High Court action is the latest in a string of judicial setbacks for Trump's effort to speed up deportations of people who he says are in the country illegally.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the Constitutional Court says the high levels of crime that plagued the country between 2018 and 2023 did not constitute an emergency.
The declaration is contained in a landmark ruling issued on Friday.
The government says it will appeal the decision as it views the level of murders in Jamaica as a national emergency.
But opposition leader Mark Golding is hailing the ruling.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
delicious meals, poolside cocktails, right on the beach. Disconnect from your daily worries and reconnect with the one you love. There's no paradise like home. This summer, enjoy a romantic all-inclusive escape at Couples Tower Isle, Couples Sanssouci, Couples Negril, or Couples Swept Away from $295 USD per night. Take advantage of this offer today by visiting Couples Resorts at couples.com. Conditions apply.
You're a VIP with CIBC Caribbean. Spend US $100 or local equivalent with your CIBC Visa credit card for your chance to win a crop over VIP experience in Barbados. An all-expense paid trip for two, staying at the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, cultural tours, and Aura experience with full glam makeup, plus tickets to the hottest last lap events. Visit CIBC Caribbean /crop over 2025 for more info. Conditions apply.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to good afternoon, rather, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Tia Clayton ran a world-leading 10.92 seconds to win the women's 100 meters at the Doha Diamond League meeting in Qatar on Friday. Clayton, who reached the Olympic final in Paris last year, beat her sister Tina into second in 11.02 seconds. Shelley-Ann Fraser-Pryce was fourth, 11.05, and Amy Hunt of Great Britain third, 11.03.
Can't believe she gets a much better start than Shelley-Ann Fraser-Pryce, and also going well is Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton's just got this one at the moment. Van der Veken is close. It's going to be very tight on the line, but Clayton's going to get this. It's Tia Clayton, 10.92. Well, I said she's been running very well, and she's overtaken her sister.
Olympic bronze medalist Rashid Broadbell won the 110 meters high hurdles in 13.14 seconds ahead of Jamal Britt of the USA, 13.25.
Safely away. Good start from Roberts, already into his running nicely. A little bit of work to do for Jamal Britt. Also coming nicely is Broadbell. But these three starting to stretch clear. Simonelli has got some work to do as well. Jamal has clipped that one. Now coming back is Broadbell. Broadbell gets it on the line.
While the third Jamaican winner at the meet, Olympic silver medalist Shanika Ricketts, captured the women's triple jump with a leap of 14 meters 72. She beat the Olympic champion Thea LaFond, who did 14 meters 29. Olympic finalist Romaine Beckford was fourth in the men's high jump with 2 meters 20. Raymond Richards was sixth, 2 meters 15. Frederick Dakers finished a disappointing seventh in the men's discus. He did 64 meters 81. The event won by the Australian Denny Matthew with 68 meters 97. Adele Tracy was 11th in the women's 1500 meters in 4 minutes 11.76. The event won by the Kenyan Nelly Chepchirchir in a season's best 4 minutes 05. National champion Malik James King fell entering the top bend in the men's 400 hurdles. He picked himself up to finish 8th in 1 minute 03.09. Barbadian all-rounder Ruston Chase is today the new West Indies Test captain. Chase replaces fellow Bajan Craig Brathwaite, who recently stepped down from the role. The 33-year-old Chase is one of 6 players who were interviewed for the role over the past 2 weeks. He emerged ahead of Tevin Imlach, John Campbell, Joshua De Silva, Justin Greaves, and Jomel Warken. In his career, Chase has played 49 tests. He scored 2,265 runs, including 5 centuries at an average of 26.33. Chase will make his Test debut as West Indies captain on June 25 at the Kensington Oval in front of his home crowd in Barbados, when the men from the region host Australia in the first of 3 Test matches. Meanwhile, Cricket West Indies officially launched their We Home Fuller Energy Home Series campaign, and it was launched in Barbados this morning. The series will feature West Indies women against South Africa June 11 to 23, West Indies against Australia June 25 to July 28, and the West Indies against Pakistan July 31 to August 12. In an effort to increase attendance at the venues, President of Cricket West Indies Dr. Kishore Chalu announced that entrance to the games to children will be free.
Every single kid across the Caribbean will be able to attend our matches absolutely free. No more do you need a ticket. You just walk to the stadium, and once you look youthful, some of you might try to get in as well. But once you into your child, you will get free access to the venues. And we are hoping with that policy, along with this Fuller Energy campaign, we are going to have full stadium across the Caribbean for every match. Test, ODI, T20, male, female. We are going to be there rallying with those players on the field.
West Indies President, Cricket West Indies President Dr. Kishore Sharlo. And finally in sport at this time, Chelsea and Aston Villa improved their chances of European Champions League football for next season after crucial wins in the English Premier League on Friday. Spanish international Marc Cucurella scored the winner on 71 minutes as the Blues beat Manchester United 1-0 at Stamford Bridge in London.
Reece James with a pirouette and a cross, and Cucurella, one full back to the other, and Chelsea have a precious lead.
Leon Bailey was brought on in the 90th minute, almost the game finishes. Aston Villa beat Tottenham Hotspur by 2-0 at Villa Park with goals from Boubacar Kamara and Ezri Konsa.
Begin to take this latest corner. Cash leading it. It's Ezri Konsa. Villa Park is swathed in relief. Rogers Kamara opens up for him. Villa 2 goals to the good.
Chelsea are now up to 4th in the standings with 66 points, the same as Villa and Newcastle, while champions Manchester City are on 65. 5 teams from the Premier League will qualify for the Champions League for next season. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
It's only 5 days. 5 days of drive-away deals with ultra-low prices on a new Mazda. Up to $2 million off or top-of-the-line Mazda. Enjoy the super comfortable CX-30 or CX-60. Step up to the new family 3-row Mazda CX-90. Level up to executive motors now and steer into incredible savings. Up to $2 million off. Don't miss out. 5 days only. Visit us now at 8 Moresco Road, Kingston, or call 92-MAZDA. Find us online at MazdaJA.com. Conditions apply.
Suzuki, I give you deals on deals. So here's the deal. Purchase a Suzuki XL7 Jimny 5-door Bronx or Grand Vitara from as low as $4.89 million and enjoy huge savings of up to $500,000 off on select models. Plus 5 years warranty, free vehicle tracking, and 2 years free scheduled servicing. No, that's a deal. Offer valid at Stewart's Automotive Group, Southgate Road, Kingston, and Iron Trauma Bay. Stop by for a test drive. Follow Suzuki Jamaica for more details. Conditions apply. Suzuki, I give you deals on deals.
You're a VIP with CIBC Caribbean. Spend US $100 or local equivalent with your CIBC Visa credit card for your chance to win a crop over VIP experience in Barbados. An all-expense paid trip for 2, staying at the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, cultural tours, and Aura experience with full glam makeup plus tickets to the hottest last lap events. Visit CIBC Caribbean /crop over 2025 for more info. Conditions apply.
The environment takes center stage this Labor Day, Friday, May 23, under the theme, The Environment, Our Land, Our Duty, Our Future. Play your part in preserving our environment. Put some voluntary labor into Labor Day in your community, anywhere across Jamaica. Jamaica Nice, protect with paradise.
This Child's Month, the Design Studio is calling all young creatives and proud parents. It's the Kids Room Redo Contest, a 4-week celebration of creativity and color. Whether your child decorated their own space or you created a magical room just for them, we want to see it. Share photos, win prizes, and get featured on our show. Tune in every week this May to the Design Studio with Karen Booker from 1 to 3 p.m. for fun, inspiration, and winners. Enter now by sending your pics via WhatsApp to 876-280-6629. Let's make Child's Month bold, bright, and beautiful.
Pull back here to Liamalu, lets it run.
European Champions League history will be created on Saturday, May 31.
Marino into Saka, brilliantly done!
When nationwide 90FM takes you live to the Allianz Arena in Germany for European club football's big night out. The Bayern Munich Stadium in Bavaria will be the staging ground for the last stand.
Lamine Yamal skips away from Mkhitaryan. Oh, that's brilliant!
The final battle to determine the best on the continent.
It is Declan Rice. Oh! Absolutely unstoppable!
The Champions League final is live on Nationwide 90 FM, Saturday, May 31, and it's brought to you courtesy of the Amber Group, pioneering innovation. And Anybet, your best bet.
Dembele has other ideas. What a chance! What a goal!
The game can also be seen live at Carib 5.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Donna Hope.
And this afternoon, we're focusing on the courts because coming out of the Supreme Court today, a landmark ruling, judges declaring that the government's use of states of public emergency on a rolling basis was in fact unconstitutional. The ruling handed down earlier today supports the long-standing position of the opposition PNP, which has consistently argued against the government's extended and frequent use of SOEs as a routine crime-fighting strategy. Now, between 2018 and 2023, the government declared 24 states of public emergency.
Justices Bertram Morrison, Andrea Pettigrew Collins, and Simone Wolfe-Rees found that the general high levels of crime cited as justification by the security forces and relied upon by the Holness administration did not meet the constitutional standard. In their judgment, no emergency existed within the meaning of the Jamaican Constitution. In dismissing evidence provided to the court by Deputy Commissioner of Police Clifford Blake, the judges reasoned that the senior crime fighter had not identified the person or bodies of persons who had taken action to warrant the imposition of a state of emergency.
The judges also say DCP Blake only described in general terms the high crime rate in various areas. They argued that the persisting problem of murders in areas such as St. James is evidence that the declaration of the states of emergency has not achieved the goal of containing serious criminal activities in the areas it was imposed. And this, they say, proves that the declarations were not demonstrably justified or proportionate.
A statement from the PNP on Friday says the Constitution stipulates that these powers are meant to be used sparingly and only in situations that pose a real and imminent threat to the democratic order of the state. The PNP has sharply criticized the use of SOE to police entire parishes, sometimes without adequate parliamentary oversight. And opposition leader Mark Golding says Friday's ruling validates those concerns.
The government says it will be appealing the ruling. The Attorney General's chamber is undertaking a thorough review of the legal and constitutional implications of the decision in preparation for the appeal. Joining us now, the government's principal legal advisor, the Attorney General of Jamaica, Dr. Derek McCoy. Good afternoon, Dr. McCoy.
Hi, Dr. McCoy. Hi, Derek.
How are you?
Doing well.
Good.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
All right, let me first of all ask you for your immediate reaction to the judgment.
Well, I think you've done a wonderful cover of it. I don't know what more I could add. We are surprised. It is not consistent with the advice we gave and not consistent with our interpretation of law. So we are surprised of that at the ruling.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things, Dr. McCoy, the ruling says that there was no emergency within the meaning of the Constitution. So from a legal standpoint, as the Attorney General, how does the government justify its interpretation of emergency in the context of the high crime rates that we continue to see?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Hang
on for a minute. You go too fast.
Mm-hmm.
There is, in fact, clear evidence, I would think, that there is very high crime, violent crime, crime including murders. And I think there's clear evidence that over the last, several months, that crime has been reduced. I believe we are experiencing today the lowest category of murders that we've had for several years. Am I correct? Am I wrong in this?
Well, the numbers say that you're correct, yes.
Okay, right. So I'm not sure what further evidence you're looking for. But I would have thought that the evidence is fairly obvious that the management of crime is reduced
And yet the judges did not seem convinced by that, Dr. McCoy.
Yes.
They seemingly dismissed the evidence provided by DCP Blake, saying that it was just general information.
Yeah, we are looking at how they justified their reasons. Obviously, it will take some time. We have some time in which to do it. The little we have seen so far, would suggest that we, on some important parts, we beg to differ.
Yes.
And we hope we perhaps convince another court that maybe they should form another view.
Mm-hmm.
So in the meantime, Dr. McCoy.
Sorry, if I could just follow up on the specific point about how security and data is interpreted, because as I read through it, Dr. McCoy, the judges say, okay, yes, you pointed data and you say the murders were high, etc., but not quite an emergence. And I wondered if you had an opinion on who should make that determination, whether judges or the security forces are best placed to make that determination.
No, the judges have a very important role, but I want to make another point, if I may. A very important point. Because we have spoken in the past, I'm not going to litigate a case before you. And this matter now is pregnant for litigation. We are, as far as what we have seen so far, and we are clearly not finished with the analysis, we think we'll have to go forward. So because we have spoken, we are not going to go through that process of trying a case or appealing a case before you. And I really think it's almost an attempt to do so. I would wish to do that.
So the question I wanted to pose, Dr. McCoy,
yes, sure.
In the interim, while you're preparing for the appeal, how does this decision today affect any kind of ongoing or immediately, coming up use of these emergency powers in Jamaica? Will it have some kind of impact on it while you're preparing for the response?
Well, it must, because we have to be sure at least that we're acting as far as the judges think they understand the law, and I think they are the authority at this point until another court, a higher court, rules on it. So it will have, I hope, it won't be too much of a dampening effect, but it will have some effect as to how the government goes about, discharging its responsibilities to keep the people safe.
There's also been a concern, Dr. McCoy, that it appears, it is said, that whenever the government is challenged on constitutional action, it loses. Certainly in the first instance.
I'm not sure that is true. I am deeply offended.
But you are aware that the perception exists.
No, I'm not aware, because I see the correspondence between my colleagues when they have their successes. Unfortunately, I don't seem to report those so aggressively. But no, I don't think that the government loses on constitutional matters at all. That's not true.
And so you don't think there's any reason for the Jamaican people to be concerned that this is a government that does not respect the Constitution?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And let me be frank. I mean, the government acts on advice. It doesn't sit down and make up these decisions. It has a policy, of course, but every policy the government has, whether it comes in whatever administrative, whatever level, before it's accepted, is challenged and tested by advice and professional advice. So you're asking us to admit that we're giving atrocious advice, if that's what you're saying. No, we don't accept that at all. Not at all.
So
this government acts as advice. I would like to think that the statement will be true for all governments.
Indeed. So, Dr. McCoy, the appeal process that you will be going through to move ahead, how soon will that process begin, and how soon will we hear about it?
It's begun, because it begins, of course, with our analysis of the judgments of the learned judges. And we've begun that inquiry because you would expect that this thing was so much of a surprise that the examination began immediately as soon as we got the judgment. And we got it this today, I believe. I can't recall, maybe about midday or so. But as soon as we saw it, we started to go through it. So the process has begun. We're planning our internal meetings, of course. And this is a purely legal response before we tender any advice. But my colleagues and I have begun the process, and we have begun to form some opinions already.
Would you like to share some of those opinions?
Ricardo. Dr. McCoy is not litigating with us today.
It deeply offends me when you get lawyers litigating their matters. Disrespect for the court.
Yes.
Disrespect for the judges that's on the examination. Disrespect for the further court that will have to consider this, because this matter we expect to go to another court. And I think it's really wrong. And you should not encourage lawyers to do this.
We're up on the break, Dr. McCoy. Hold it there for us. We're going to take a break and come back with more.
Birdshot fried chicken always ready. Birdshot, original crispy. Birdshot, Cajun spicy. Birdshot, a barbecue. Birdshot, we are going Birdshot.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay, and Ochivios is
28 degrees Celsius here in Kingston, 30 degrees out west in Montego Bay.
NWC customers, you have spoken and we have listened. We are opening our commercial offices to facilitate debt amnesty transactions on Saturday, May 24 and Saturday, May 31. If you are a pensioner, past beneficiary, or have a commercial account, you may qualify. So, don't miss this final opportunity. Residential customers, you may qualify as well. Visit nwcjamaica.com for further details. That's Saturday, May 24 and Saturday, May 31. The NWC commercial offices will be opened for your convenience, serving you in so many ways.
The environment takes center stage this Labor Day, Friday, May 23, under the theme, The Environment, Our Land, Our Duty, Our Future. Play your part in preserving our environment. Put some voluntary labor into Labor Day in your community, anywhere across Jamaica. Jamaica Nice. Protect with paradise.
Welcome back Nationwide at 5, and we're in the nation's business, talking of course with the Attorney General, Dr. Derek McCoy, about the ruling today that found the use of SOEs as unconstitutional. And Dr. McCoy, of course, before the break was giving us his response and that of his team to the ruling. And I think, Dr. McCoy, one of the things you said was that you were surprised about the ruling. Do you want to enlighten us as to what the surprise was?
It's not what we expected, of course, because there are two distinct components to it. One, of course, is the actual state of emergency itself, which we would have had a path. We provide, I think, an essential role in giving advice, on the regulations and so on. So we would have thought that the advice we're given was correct, and therefore the suggestion that it isn't is distressing. The other thing, of course, is that we're named that the Attorney General is named as a defendant in this matter. So we're defending it. We're defending the case. And we'd have thought that our understanding the law meant that what was done was justified. So there's two elements of surprise. We did not expect the court to form this judgment. And obviously we would do the review and confirm the first opinions we have formed, and we have formed, as I said, some preliminary opinions. And if you've confirmed them, then we'll go back to the court and ask a higher court to reassess the opinions of the learned judges.
Dr. McCoy, the Charter of Rights, the ruling seems to take a very high view and stringent view of the rights contained there. And I wonder, just for public education, if you could help the Jamaican people to understand the framework that the new...
We're trying to understand because it is a new ingredient to our law as to what it means.
Yes.
One can take a strict constructionist view of the Constitution, or you can take a more liberal view. I think whichever view we take will be determined by the judges. It's not but happily not for me or for you to make the determination. And judges take different views. I think there's a long culture in our tradition of taking a strict constructionist view. There's a modern European tradition of taking an interpretivist view. But the courts will find its place and will advise us as to how to go.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. McCoy. I appreciate your time.
May I just make a point?
Yes, please.
I have accommodated you, but may I share a personal view?
Absolutely.
And this is not as a lawyer by any means, and not as a member of the Attorney General's Department. But we did note, and I think you had agreed and confirmed that crime was coming down, that we are achieving remarkable success, or have been achieving remarkable successes recently, and for which I think we should congratulate the police and the work they're doing. And my fear as a citizen, nothing to do with the lawyer, but is what will this mean? I mean, how will we continue to enjoy the sort of security that we've had in the past? That's a worry I have.
But Dr. McCoy, yeah, and I understand that before you go, but I think murders are down, but I'm not sure about crime, because crime is far more, there's a broader framework than
crime
murders,
generally.
Right?
Crime generally is
crime generally is down, but I believe also that the SOEs have been a contributing factor.
Murder is down and crime is down, so I think we generally agree murder and crime.
We should be clear on that, but as in terms of taking that focus, the SOEs may have or might have or have contributed significantly to that, but there are other factors also that have intervened.
Of course, yes. Let's be honest and fair.
Yes.
That's a fair description. They're doing a marvelous job.
Yes.
They're 24/7, keep the rest of us safe.
Exactly.
And I think we have to acknowledge that it's not just a situation of emergencies. It's the entire police apparatus that keeps us safe. Now, may I say thank you for your service? I don't often get a chance to be interviewed by such wonderful people. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
You should come back more often.
You should come more often,
Dr.
McCoy, and speak with us some more.
Consider this a standing invitation.
Yes, and thank you. So have a good weekend. Thank you so much indeed. Yes.
Yeah. So the word there, the government. The Attorney General, certainly the government's legal advisor, surprised, not what he expected. And, obviously a gentleman, not wanting to criticize the judges. But as I said, when I was reading the judgment, I was struck by the standard at which they have put the Charter of Rights in terms, and I wondered, as he said, he worries as a citizen, and I, as a citizen as well as I read it, I wondered whether any kind of strong government response can survive in that kind of environment. I genuinely wonder whether it has become too restrictive, and that might be, as he said, different judges might interpret it differently. So it's to be seen what the Court of Appeal will do, and possibly the Privy Council.
And possibly the Privy Council, because the matter may go as far as that. But in the meantime, I'm sure that the citizens of Jamaica, regardless of where they sit politically, are interested, Ricardo and listeners, in ensuring that we live in a country that is safe and that crime continues to decline, because this is something that has dogged our society for a very long time and has harmed many aspects of it, even including the kind of investments that people would want to make. So this is something that we have to pay close attention to, even as we move forward, to ensure that we ratify the Constitution, the Charter of Rights, and what the courts will say in one instance, and see how it plays out. So I'm looking forward really to see what will come out of the appeal when they go forward with it. In the meantime, my concern is that this ruling will have an impact on the type of strategies that the government and or the Jamaica Constabulary Force can put in place in the immediate present.
Yeah. And again, what constitutes an emergency, I also found that particular part of the ruling interesting, because we've heard now for years, really, that sure, there's not a formal declaration of war in place in Jamaica or in force in Jamaica, but the levels of crime, certainly murders that we experience, are comparable. It is comparable to countries that are in fact at war.
Yes.
And so when I was reading through it, and the sort of my interpretation, the way in which the security force, the formal advice of the security forces was just put aside, I wondered. I said to myself, then do we have to declare that we are at war before you can say an emergency exists?
I think that the definition of and the interpretation
and they defined it.
But the definition that is
it.
used and taken, and the interpretation of that by the learned judges and the persons who are a part of this, is what everything will hinge on, Ricardo.
Right. I'm saying going forward, how they've defined it is very restrictive. It must be sudden, unexpected, so extensive a scale. Yeah, that justifies the declaration.
But I also think that because Jamaica has been facing such high levels of crime for so many decades, that we have become, I think, a little inured to what we see as crime
and the judges
emergency.
Said,
That's
the
a
judges
challenge.
said as much. They said
that it stands to reason that something that has persisted for a while cannot be considered an emergency. So it almost appeared to me, certainly as I read, that they were accepting that argument, that because it has existed for so long, it cannot be considered an emergency. And I think many Jamaicans, and I dare say most Jamaicans, would find that surprising.
And it should be something that we have to develop a response to, because I've had to sit on several committees and read through the Wolf Report, 1993, the Perth Report, the Hearst Report, all of those reports about different criminal aspects of the society. And all of them have tried to suggest measures and mechanisms to deal with what was then immediate. The World Bank Report, They Cry Respect, 1997, a lot of these things, people have been writing large documents and doing a lot of research to try and help Jamaica to sort of stabilize, what is happening on the ground so that people can live in peace, or at least more peace, and feel more secure. And so I believe that we have to still take a look at that, because that has been a part of what we are trying to frame out of the society for a very long time. So the learned judges, yes, I understand maybe we have been in post-traumatic stress for a long time with this crime, but we would love to see a continuation of the decline using the best possible raft of strategies that are fair, just, but giving us the kind of society that we need. It really is important.
And of course, there's another part of this. As much as it is a legal matter, it's also a political matter.
Definitely.
Because you're heading into an election campaign. You're heading into that campaign with a, 40% now, I believe it is, reduction in murders. And here you have the Supreme Court saying one of the tools, certainly that was used in the run-up to this decline, was unlawfully used, was unconstitutionally used. The People's National Party is indicating, see, we told you from the beginning, we're vindicated.
Yes.
So the question now, and I've been saying this for a while, Prof, that it is for the Jamaican people. I don't know if it may be in a formal referendum, it needs to be put to them as to whether the Constitution should be amended to allow the tool to be used. But we're at a political impasse. Like, both parties obviously have staked out different positions on the matter. The People's National Party, and I believe them, I think they're acting in good faith.
Yes.
That as a principled matter, they do not believe that this tool must be used in the way that
it has been used. Yes.
And I accept that. I'm not challenging their good faith in that, right? Because I ultimately believe both political parties, they want the best for Jamaica. Yeah. But there's obviously a question. There is a question as to whether the capacity of normal policing can and has been able to contain crime. And I don't think it is unreasonable to say everything, the combination of things that we've seen, the investments, the SOEs, the equipment, more personnel, that all of that has to have combined to result in what we're seeing now. I don't think that's unreasonable to say. And so the question now, the political question to be put to the people of Jamaica is this something you want to continue?
What do you want to what do you want to continue? Yeah. Because in a lot of ways, I think that's the question on the ground, and it is going to, I think, based on what is happening here, become a kind of partisan conversation.
No, absolutely,
where,
and it should be.
See that
I've never bought the argument that crime is not a political issue. The security of the country is perhaps one of the most important functions of a government.
Yes, sir.
And if a government is failing at it, you hold them accountable. If they're doing well at it, you should also commend them for it. So the question now is, what are the tools that need to be used to achieve that? And whether this particular tool, based on this ruling, is going to be taken off the table.
It's going to be taken off the table. And you know, the conversations also occur in other dispensations that in many instances when you have high crime rates in societies, that citizens are willing to sometimes give up a little bit of their liberty to ensure their security.
Certainly public polling in this country has suggested that Jamaicans are willing to do that.
And that is something that needs to be discussed more visibly so that people can understand what are some of the, what it means, what does it mean? Do you give up some of your liberty for security and to ensure that we can move through and reduce significantly what has become too much of a commonplace activity in our society? How much of that are you willing to give up? And how much of this how long will you want it to continue? And what are the results that you'd expect to see and in what time? So we need to have that conversation more forcefully so that we can continue to have and build out the Jamaica that we see coming in front of us, a developed society, better resourced, people living in better systems, better infrastructure, access to these resources, and more peaceful situations around us, better conflict resolution. Too many things, but we're working on it and we want the development and the progress to continue.
Well, at 6:40, King's Counsel Michael Hilton and the PNP General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell. Dr. Campbell brought the claim. Yes. It's Dayton Campbell versus the Attorney General. So they will join us with their reaction. Yeah?
Indeed.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6 o'clock.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. The United States credit rating was downgraded by Moody's Ratings on Friday, highlighting investor concerns about the government's growing debt. Moody's says the downgrade from the top rating of AAA to AA1 reflects the increase over more than a decade in government debt and interest payment ratios to levels that are significantly higher than similarly rated sovereigns. The credit rating firm added that successive U.S. administrations and Congress have failed to agree on measures to reverse the trend of large annual fiscal deficits and growing interest costs. Moody's also highlighted the U.S.'s recent policy uncertainty driven by President Donald Trump's evolving trade policies. Moody's is the last of the three major credit rating agencies to downgrade U.S. government debt. In August 2011, Standard & Poor's downgraded the U.S. from AAA to AA+. And in 2023 August, Fitch Ratings cut the credit rating a notch from AAA to AA+. Opposition spokesperson on culture and creative industries Dr. Deborah Hickling Gordon has labeled Junior Byles as one of Jamaica's most distinctive and soul-stirring voices. The artist, born Kenneth Byles Jr. on July 17, 1948, passed away on Thursday. He was 76. Among his hits are Beat Down Babylon, Fade Away, Curly Locks, and A Place Called Africa.
Early love, know that I'm a dreadlock. Your daddy say you shouldn't play with me. He who seeks of only vanity and no love for humanity shall fade away, fade away.
That's Junior Byles performing Curly Locks and Fade Away. Dr. Hickling Gordon says Byles was not merely a singer. She says he was a messenger of truth, a voice for the voiceless, and a steadfast contributor to the cultural heartbeat of the nation. Similar sentiments were shared earlier by Entertainment and Culture Minister Olivia Grange. She hailed Junior Byles, saying his music stood out because of his powerful voice and thought-provoking lyrics. The PNP has extended sincere condolences to his family, friends, and the broader artistic community. Jamaica's Constitutional Court has determined that the high levels of crime that plagued the country over the 5-year period between 2018 and 2023 did not constitute an emergency. The declaration is contained in a landmark ruling issued on Friday. Justices Bertram Morrison, Andrea Pettigrew Collins, and Simone Wolfe-Rees found that the general high levels of crime cited as justification by the security forces and relied upon by the Holness administration did not meet the constitutional standard. Meanwhile, the Holness administration says it will continue to view the high level of murders in the country as a national emergency. It made the statement while declaring it will appeal the ruling of the Constitutional Court. In a statement on Friday, the Attorney General indicated that the legal and constitutional implications of the ruling were being reviewed for the appeal. The statement says the administration will continue to support the security forces amid a historic reduction in crime. And opposition leader Mark Golding has welcomed Friday's ruling as a victory for the rule of law in Jamaica. Golding says the ruling vindicates the PNP's position.
Today's landmark ruling by the Supreme Court of Jamaica is a resounding victory for the Constitution, for the rule of law, and for the people of Jamaica. The court has affirmed what the PNP has long argued, that the multiple and extended use of states of emergency as a routine crime-fighting tool is a violation of the Constitution's extraordinary emergency powers.
Mark Golding, opposition leader. And Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, is welcoming the Supreme Court's ruling that the frequent use of SOEs was unconstitutional. In a release on Friday, the human rights lobby group says the ruling validates its concerns that the SOEs sought to undermine the constitutional rights of citizens. The lobby group is also calling on the government to support those unlawfully detained under SOEs between 2018 and 2023 who are seeking compensation. The nurse who was brutally assaulted by a motorist in Mount Airy, St. Andrew on Tuesday is receiving treatment at the University Hospital of the West Indies. The update was given by Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton.
The incident that took place involving our healthcare worker must be condemned as a heinous, brutal act. And we must ensure that the law takes its course and the perpetrators or perpetrator should be punished to the full extent of the law. At this point, the health system through the University Hospital of the West Indies is providing care to our healthcare worker, and I've reached out to her relatives and will continue to offer whatever support is necessary for her full and speedy recovery.
That's Dr. Christopher Tufton, Minister of Health. The nurse was reportedly on her way to work at a corporate area hospital when, on reaching a section of the road, she encountered a motorist driving recklessly ahead of her in a Mercedes-Benz. The incident, which took place on Tuesday evening on Mount Friendship Road in Mount Airy, St. Andrew, was captured on video and posted to social media. In it, the man is seen tussling with the nurse, who was dressed in a white tunic and white trousers. At one point, the man appears to lift the nurse, flip her over, and slam her to the ground. The nurse could be heard crying out in agony. The video also shows the man dragging the nurse directly behind the right rear wheel of the car and standing on her head. The man is yet to be charged. His name is being withheld until investigations are complete. Those are the headlines at 6. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sports is next.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jack my figure dig the wall.
Our Total Tools.
Beat back a figure trim the lawn. We have everything your job demand.
Total Tools.
We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When you say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slive Road, Kingston. And lot C6 Jacksaw, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
Celebrate mom with the Jamaica Observer's 4 Moms Mother's Day promotion. Win big for mom with a $50,000 cash prize, appliances, gift certificates, movie passes, and more. Just spend $6,000 or
The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining presents National Minerals Week from May 25 to 30, 2025 under the theme Minerals for National Development. Activities include a church service, bauxite land titling conference, technical conference on limestone, investor forum, and a bauxite industry session. Notably, the technical conference and investor forum will be held on May 28 and 29 respectively at the Jamaica Conference Center. For more details, visit www.moa.gov.jm or follow at MOAFJM on IG.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alric Swiby. We kick things off with some football as Spanish Town Police and Treasure Beach will lock horns in the final of the JFF Jamaica Football Championship at Jocks Hall on Saturday at 3 p.m. Both teams have already been promoted to the Ray and Never Jamaica Premier League for the 2025-26 season. However, both want to end the tournament as champions. Coach of Spanish Town, Stanley Gardner, says he'll be without the service of one of his key strikers.
The confidence of my players going into this final is overwhelmed. But naturally, we would want to win the trophy, cement the whole journey. In the semi-final, we lost one of our forward to red card. But we have good replacement, And thank God for Jesus. All the players who have played throughout the season are fit to play tomorrow.
Gardner says his players are not intimidated by Treasure Beach's unbeaten status.
The fact that Treasure Beach have not lost a game throughout the season, that doesn't say that they are in the same for the so to speak. So we will have to try and see if we can change their fortune.
Stanley Gardner. Meanwhile, coach of Treasure Beach, Kemar Ricketts, says while they are happy to be returning to the country's top league, the job is not complete.
Preparation has been going well. My players are very much focused. We did not do a lot of celebration because it was new to us. But while we would have been happy that we qualified, we are fixated on lifting the title.
Ricketts says there are no clear favourites in a final.
We know the quality of the police team, and we won't take anything for granted. Neither will we underestimate anybody at all. We respect all opponents, and they're in the final for a reason. Yes, they would have lost 4 games throughout the season, but they made a late surge and they got to the semi-final. They qualified for the Premier League, so we know that they have quality. So we are very much prepared to not just play the occasion, but play the game itself. It's a final, and a final is one game. I think both of us are favourites.
Come on, Ricketts. Champions Fraser's Whip will start favourites when they play away to UWI Women in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at the UWI Bowl on Saturday. Fraser's Whip lead the standings with 30 points after 10 starts, while UWI sits at 6th with 13 points. Meanwhile, second place Cavalier will tussle with third place Arnett Gardens at Alpha Boys Home. In other fixtures, Las Perfectas play Federal United at Brooks Park, Mile Gully face Real Bay at Mile Gully Community Centre, and the Proven Girls entertain Wi-Fi United at York Sports Complex. All matches are set to start at 3:30 p.m. Chelsea and Aston Villa improve their chances of European Champions League football for next season after crucial wins in the English Premier League on Friday. Spanish international Marc Cucurella scored the winner on 71 minutes as the Blues beat Manchester United 1-0 at Stamford Bridge in London.
Reece James with a pirouette and a cross, and Cucurella, one full back to the other, and Chelsea have a precious lead.
Meanwhile, Leon Bailey was brought on in the 90th minute as Aston Villa defeated Tottenham 2-0 at Villa Park.
Begin to take this latest corner. Cash leading it. It's Ezri Konsa. Villa Park is swathed in relief. Rogers Kamara opens up for him. Villa 2 goals to the good.
Chelsea are now up to 4th in the standings with 66 points, the same as Villa and Newcastle, while champions Manchester City are on 65 points. 5 teams from England will qualify for the Champions League. In tomorrow's fixtures, Everton welcome Southampton, West Ham play Nottingham Forest, Brentford are at home to Fulham, Leicester City host Ipswich Town, and Arsenal play Newcastle. Now to track and field, as Tia Clayton ran a world-leading 10.92 seconds to win the women's 100 meters at the Doha Diamond League meeting in Qatar on Friday. Clayton, who reached the Olympic final in Paris last year, beat her sister Tina into second in 11.02 seconds, with Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce fourth in 11.05, while Amy Hunt of Great Britain was third in 11.03 seconds.
Cambridge gets a much better start than Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, and also going well is Tia Clayton. Tia Clayton's just got this one at the moment. Van der Veken is close. It's going to be very tight on the line, but Clayton's going to get this. It's Tia Clayton, 10.92. Well, I said she's been running very well, and she's overtaken her sister.
Now, Olympic bronze medalist Rashid Broadbell won the 110 meters high hurdles in 13.14 seconds ahead of Jamel Britt of the USA 13.25.
Safely away. Good start from Roberts, already into his running nicely. A little bit of work to do for Jamal Brett. Also coming nicely is Broadbell. But these three starting to stretch clear. Simonelli has got some work to do as well. Jamal has clipped that one. Now coming back is Broadbell. Broadbell gets it on the line.
The third Jamaican winner at the meet was Olympic silver medalist Shanika Ricketts, who captured the women's triple jump with a leap of 14.72 meters, beating the Olympic champion Thea Lafond, who did 14.29 meters. Olympic finalist Romaine Beckford was fourth in the men's high jump with 2.22 2.20 meters, while Raymond Richards was 6th with 2.15 meters. Frederick Dakers finished a disappointing 7th in the men's discus with 64.18 meters. The event won by Australia Danny Matthew with 68.97 meters. Adele Cheshire finished 11th in the women's 1500 meters in 4 minutes 11.76 seconds. National champion Malik James King fell coming off the top bend in the men's 400 meters hurdles, picked himself up to finish 8th in 1 minute 03.09 seconds. On to cricket, as Barbadian all-rounder Ruston Chase has been named in the new captain of the West Indies Test team. Chase replaces fellow Bajan Craig Brathwaite, who recently stepped down from the role. The 33-year-old Chase is one of 6 players who were interviewed for the role over the past 2 weeks. He emerged ahead of Tevin Imlach, John Campbell, Joshua De Silva, Justin Greaves and Jamel Warrican. In his career, Chase has played 49 tests. He scored 2,265 runs, including 5 centuries. Chase will make his debut as West Indies Test captain on June 25 at Kensington Oval in Barbados, when the men from the Caribbean host Australia in a 3-test tour. Meanwhile, Cricket West Indies officially launched their We Home Fuller Energy home series campaign in Barbados on Friday. The series will feature West Indies women against South Africa from June 11 to 23, West Indies against Australia from June 25 to July 28, and the West Indies against Pakistan July 31 to August 12. In an effort to increase attendance at the venues, President of Cricket West Indies Dr. Kishore Shallow announced that entrance to the games for children will be free.
Every single kid across the Caribbean will be able to attend our matches absolutely free. No more do you need a ticket. You just walk to the stadium, and once you look youthful, some of you might try to get in as well. But once you enter your child, you will get free access to the venues. And we are hoping with that policy, along with this Fuller Energy campaign, we are going to have full stadium across the Caribbean for every match. Test, ODI, T20, male, female. We are going to be there rallying with those players on the field.
Dr. Kishore Shallow. The Marathon Insurance recently renewed its deal with the Jamaica Olympic Association, JOA, to insure national sporting teams, the cadre of individuals serving as well as their belongings when competing at games. Marathon increased its sponsorship to $15 million, a 50% increase over last year's figures, which Secretary General of the JOA, Ryan Foster, says is necessary in lieu of the team's expansion. Foster says the financial backing from its sponsors also represent an endorsement in the organization's work.
I think it is important because it's a signal that the GOA concept of sport for all has expanded, and by having more associations participating in the games, increase in the Olympic Games for LA 2028. And with more associations, we need more cash to fund our athletes getting to these games and, of course, our coaches. So the partnership has expanded, and we believe, just by conversation with Marathon, that they are extremely happy with the governance of these funding and the ability to monetize their brand within the Olympic movement.
He says the past year has seen the JOA embarking upon a number of partnerships with members of the corporate community, such as Grace Kennedy and Red Stripe, for the purpose of advancing its mission of affording as many athletes from various sporting disciplines an opportunity to become Olympians. Foster says in the same period they were able to renew their contracts with Supreme Ventures Limited and Mayberry Investment Limited, who cited confidence in the governance of the JOA and its ability to deliver on the terms of the sponsorship as a reason for long-term renewal.
The minor sport under the Sport for All concept has had significant funding, and we have seen the results and the medals that we have won now at the CSE Games, Pan American Games, and of course the qualification. Look at boxing. In 2018, 2019, we would have identified Ricardo Brown as a potential Olympian, and he would have done us proud by winning a bronze medal at the Pan American Games, which ironically got him into the Olympic Games in Japan. We have seen the CSE Games. We are now medaling in fencing, rugby, and of course, look at netball. As I said, for the first time, they would have won a silver medal at the Commonwealth Games, and of course our bronze medal at the World Championship. So the funding has significantly increased in such sports as rugby, netball, boxing, swimming, etc. And we have seen the result.
Ryan Foster.
This is Nationwide's Champions League Facts.
Did you know that the UEFA Champions League was originally called the European Cup? Yes, that's a fact. The competition was first introduced as the European Cup in the 1955-56 campaign, bringing together the best of the best to compete for the symbol of European football supremacy. The competition was relaunched as the UEFA Champions League for the 1992-93 season.
That was Nationwide's Champions League Fact.
There you have it, Nationwide's Champions League Fact. I'm Alric Swaby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Plug into the sun with Peak Energy Solutions. We are your affordable provider for everything solar. Grid tie or off-grid solar P systems, solar air conditioners, panels, lithium batteries, solar supplies, and installation. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hills, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Everything loud and wicked every Saturday 3 to 5 p.m. with Outside with Pepita. Loan vibes, loan laughs, and loan entertainment. Come on the road with we. Cause when we say Outside with Pepita, we're there all over Jamaica. Anyway, check them out. We're there. We're in on the business. Stay tuned in for prizes, surprises, giveaways, guest artists, and enough more. But hold on there. We forget to big up my DJ. DJ Jerome the Shell Boss. I'm gonna make you bust to pew pew with the maddest, baddest, and latest tunes. So look out for Outside with Pepita. We might be coming to a town near you. You heard it here first. Outside with Pepita, Saturdays 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. The new revolution in media. Jamaica, lock it in and don't miss a thing.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Mahiri Stewart, and yeah, we're gonna talk about public opinion today. Yes, feel free to participate if you are in the YouTube chat. So let's get into it, man. Usually we have like some kind of super deep introduction as to why we chose the pub up, but I feel like it speaks for itself, man. Sometimes you don't need to think that deeply. We're reminiscing about old games we played in school, and two were brought up, and there seemed to be somewhat of a debate between the two, so we decided to ask it to the public. So we ask Chinese Skip or Dandy Shandy, which was the better game? And we asked it on all our platforms, and now we're gonna read the answers. We're gonna start over on Instagram. Ross Clooney Lorraine says Dandy Shandy, of course. Kelia says Dandy Shandy. Wow, it's a sweep for Dandy Shandy in the Instagram comments. One Empress 658 says, yeah man, cook up is at 10. Dandy Shandy, of course. Divine Master says Dandy Shandy. Cock up is at 10. And Philip King says Dandy Shandy is an old-time song. So there you have it, folks. So Dandy Shandy sweeps the Instagram comment section. And I must say, I am also a Dandy Shandy supporter. Dandy Shandy was very fun as a child. I say as a child. People think I'm still a child, so who even matters? But yeah, I'm a Dandy Shandy fan, so I'm gonna cast my vote for Dandy Shandy. But let's see if it's the same thing when we go over to Facebook. So we ask on Facebook, Dandy Shandy or Chinese Skip. Philip Jackson says, Dandy Shandy in the name and the action is more for girls, but it's a good sport to show your skill to dodge from being hit. So as children, we all play that game. It was fun to avoid being hit with all kinds of flexibility and movement. Tiana Brown says, I love them both. Prefer Dandy Shandy, though. It's easier to find things to play. Just stuff a milk or juice box with paper and you're ready. Chinese Skip now, you never always had the elastic bands to make it. Natalie Winter said, I enjoyed both when going to school. Cheryl Hamilton says, Dandy Shandy. Edney Powell says, none. And Sean Major Campbell says, just a shandy over ice. All right, what do we have over on X? When we ask the folks on X, what do they say? What do you prefer, Dandy Shandy or Chinese Skip? And it seems to be another landslide. Dandy Shandy, of course, says Ernetta Reed. And Queens123 again says Jax. And you see, someone else in the comment section after him says Marble. And I'm glad people are bringing up other games because I originally wanted to ask, what was your favorite game in general, right? People wanted me to focus on these two and make it just a square up between the two games. But I still had a feeling people would bring up more games. And there we have people bringing up Jacks, people bringing up Marble. Some people call it sightings. That's true. I mean, I'm pretty sure I learned it as sightings, to be honest with you. Not Dandy Shandy. I was a lover of tag when I was in prep school. Just a good old-fashioned game of tag. Good times, man. But I'm seeing other games being mentioned in the YouTube chat right now. Dimas says hide and seek. Hide and seek are the best. I mean, hide and seek is fun, but it depends on where you are, I guess. If it's a place where there aren't that many hiding places, then no, hide and seek isn't fun. But if it's a place that has enough, yes, it is. Angela Jones says Dandy Shandy hands down. ISO Mario says Dandy Shandy or sightings for sure. There we go, man. There we go. I'm telling you, man. Dandy Shandy was the best. Romel Parkinson says Dandy Shandy. There we go. Josephine also says that there's not a single Chinese Skip vote here, man, at all. I think the whole comment section between YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, the only time I only saw Chinese Skip once, man. I feel like Dandy Shandy is just the superior game. It's clearly the superior game. Look at the comment section right now, man. Ralston Lang, Dandy Shandy. Paul Peart says marbles. Angela Jones says Dandy Shandy. Dennis Barnaby says Dandy Shandy, even though those two games were for girls. Were they, though? You telling me Dandy Shandy was just a girl game? Guys couldn't play what's basically Jamaican dodgeball? So boys could play, but it's mainly a girl thing. Okay. Not where I was from, man. Everybody played sightings. Again, that's what we called it. Tic-tac-toe. I loved playing tic-tac-toe in school. That was a fun game. It's a very thinking game, too, as well. I always enjoyed playing that with my friends. Sharon Bless says Dolly House, Marble Gig, Jacks, and Dandy Shandy. All right, man. What else we have here? Mikkel says, yeah, Paul, marbles. I had a few slugs. Lick out a ring. Sitting Dandy Shandy are the same thing. We never played that. Cricket, football, marbles, elastic are my thing. There we go. Somebody says gun war, police and thief. That's Villa. That's probably before my time. Shadow boxing, says Bad Boy Official. Everybody played every game. Shelly Clark says hopscotch. Fun fact, it's interesting you mention that because we were going to ask hopscotch at the beginning and then we switched it for Chinese Skip. Because let's be real, man. Let me adjust this mic a bit. Let's be real, man. Is hopscotch really a game? I feel like hopscotch is an activity as opposed to an actual game. It's not really a game, is it, Wugs? It feels like it's an activity. You know what I'm saying? How do you win hopscotch? Is it a thing you can win? I mean, unless I've just been interpreting it wrong, but I mean, it looks fun, but it's definitely not more fun than Dandy Shandy to me. Stuck and Freeze. Now we're talking, man. Now we're talking. That elite childhood game right there. Stuck and Freeze might actually be better than tag now that I think about it. Because in tag, all you have to do is tag the slow person and the whole game's finished because they can't catch nobody. But Stuck and Freeze is different because the person has to stop and it's up to the persons that aren't frozen to free them. That's fun stuff, man. That I enjoyed. I loved playing Stuck and Freeze in prep school. What else we have here, man? Okay, so I'm seeing a couple more people say hopscotch. Dory says hopscotch. Shelly Clark also says hopscotch. What else we got here? Bull in a Pen. Bull in a Pen was a fun game too, man. Now we're talking, man. Bull in a Pen was a fun game. Love that game, man. Was I ever strong enough to break through? I mean, yeah, you just have to find the right two people that you know aren't stronger than you. You just break through and then everybody runs after you. Yeah, man. Bull in a Pen was a fun game. There's another one I'm trying to remember. Duck Duck Goose was a fun game as well. There's so many, man. There were so many. Duck Duck Goose was fun. That was a fun game. What else we have here? Cricket. Cricket's a sport, though. Do you really consider cricket a game? It's not a game in the way I'm trying to ask this, though. Charmaine says she don't like Dandy Shandy. She prefers hopscotch. Fair enough. Tug of War. Hated Tug of War. Now we're going to have controversial discussions. I really wish this segment was long enough for people to call in. I really do. I wish we could take calls during pub up because I'd love for somebody to convince me how Tug of War was fun. Because it wasn't fun to me, man. The rope burn, being on the side with the weaker people, which I would have naturally been on because I was a weaker person. Tug of War wasn't fun, man. It's a terrible game. So I'm not feeling y'all with that. Brown Girl in the Ring, that was a fun game. I don't think it was really from guys, but on the rare occasion I played it probably a couple times in school. It was pretty good. What else we have here? Dolly House. It's probably before my time, to be fair. But, Mary, you ever play one on the Jungle Gym? No, I haven't, I fear. Unless I know what you're talking about, but not by that name. But, yeah. Stuck and Freeze. Again, elite game. Stuck and Freeze. To be honest with you, man, is Stuck and Freeze better than Dandy Shandy? It probably is, man. Stuck and Freeze is probably the elite game. 1, 2, okay, now we're talking, man. Now we are talking. 1, 2, 3 Red Light was a fun game. I distinctly remember playing that in grade 1. And then when they turn around, you have to freeze. If you move an inch, you have to... I think... Are you out of the game completely or do you have to go to the back of the line? I think you're out. And then they keep doing it till somebody reaches the person that's saying what. That game was great, man. Okay, now we're really going back in time, man. So we got stuck. This whole pub-up has just diverted into favorite games, and I'm completely alright with that. So we got Stuck and Freeze elite game. Tag was an elite game. Bull in a Pen elite game. I still haven't seen anyone say Duck Duck Goose. Duck Duck Goose was an elite game. 1, 2, 3 Red Light was an elite game. So was Dandy Shandy or Sightings or whatever you call it. Police and Thief, didn't play that, man. I only know Police and Thief because it was a Junior Mervin song. But I don't know the game itself. I don't know how it's played. ABC Fast or Slow. That's a game, yeah. Well, I mean, I said Tic-Tac-Toe was a fun game. So I guess ABC Fast or Slow counts as well. I played ABC Fast or Slow more in high school than prep school. I don't know. Somebody mentioned one. Where is it? London Bridge. I don't know how London Bridge is played, to be honest with you. The Farmer in the Dell. Was that really a game? I feel that was more of an activity than a game. Okay, so this is gonna be... Y'all are making me go back in time now. I distinctly remember playing that game or that activity, The Farmer in the Dell, in kinder. Literal K1. And... how do you go? It's a song. The Farmer in the Dell, and the farmer takes a wife. The wife takes, I think, a child. Child takes. I don't remember. I'd probably have to look it up. But I do remember playing The Farmer in the Dell in kindergarten. That's just unlocked a crazy memory. But how is it well? No, I think it's more of an activity than a game. I just remember at the end there's a rat, and the rat takes the cheese, and then they all run away. But that was fun. I remember playing that when I was little. Fun game. Rain football. Hate rain football. My mom would never let me play rain football because I'm asthmatic. And as an asthmatic, you can't be running around in the rain. So I would never play that. Man, look at all these answers, bro. If only I had more time. Red light, green light. We already said that one. Mother May I? Heard of it. I don't think I played it like that, though. We even played like Simon Says a couple times. Y'all ever played Simon Says before? Simon Says was fun. I enjoyed Simon Says. But I don't know how Mother May I is played. That's a I've heard of it, but I don't know how it's played. So what else we got here? Ship Sail. I don't know. Oh, some of these Rabbit in a Hutch. Never heard of it. I know Snake and Ladders. Elite board game. Dolly House. Yeah, we've had some Dolly House answers already. Mango War and Aki War. Is you just throw mangoes at each other, or is that just or does the name mean something else? You guys need to educate me, because these sound pre-2001, pre my birth. BM before Mahiri. Money Football. I saw a couple of people in the comments saying Money Football as well. How's Money Football? Well, how's Money? Yeah, I know Money Football. Decent game. Oh, you just threw mangoes at each other. All right. So you see, I thought there was like some deeper meaning to it, but y'all literally just took up mangoes and threw it at each other. So that means y'all played Water War. There we go. Water War. Angela Smith says Water War. We're getting there, man. More memories are being unlocked. I remember Water War as a child. I didn't play many of it because just like rain football, if little Mahiri got wet, he had an asthma attack and was wheezing the whole night. My mother would have to put me on the nebulizer and the pump. So I was not playing none of them water sports, man. Was this Domino? Fair enough. Treasure Hunt? Don't think I've ever played Treasure Hunt. We said Brown Girl in the Ring already. What about Ring-a-Ring-a Rosie? That's not... Is that really a game, though? It's not really a game, is it? That's more of an activity as opposed to a game. Sliding down the hillside on a coconut bobber. Now, if that's what I think it is, then that sounds fun. Fair enough. Play School. Yeah, I remember playing School. I remember playing House. What's this? I'm in a well. I don't know how that goes. How does that work? Some of these are. What's this? Elastic Bouncy. Yes, You May. Stone War. Up the Lane versus Down the Lane. Wow. Back in the Ring. We used to play Church. How does that work? How do you play Church? I don't remember ever playing Church. And listen, man, I've been given the hurry up 2 times already, so we need to come out here. But this is a fun pub up. And it's proof that we should have just asked people what their favorite game was, because I ain't seen a Dandy Shandy or a Shiny skipping out in ages. But I've seen a bunch of different games here, some of which I actually did play. This is a fun pub up. Maybe we'll do it again sometime. But that's public opinion. Now it's time for the business report. Let's go.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:36. Good evening. Welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Barita Investments Limited has announced that due to strong market demand, the board of directors has decided to exercise the option to upsize its public bond offer. Barita issued a statement on Friday advising of the changes to its senior unsecured public bond. Previously, Barita stated that it was seeking to raise US $11 million between 2 tranches, with the option to upsize those tranches to a total of $17 million. Barita had also announced that it was seeking to raise $2.25 billion across 5 Jamaican dollar tranches, with the option to upsize the offer to a total of $3.5 billion. The company, in its release on Friday, says it has upsized the US dollar tranches to a total of $17 million. It has made an additional $6 million of senior unsecured bonds available. For the Jamaican dollar tranches, it has upsized to $3.5 billion, making an additional $1.25 billion of senior unsecured bonds available. Meanwhile, Barita says while the invitation is scheduled to close on May 26, 2025, the company reserves the right to close the offer early once subscriptions have been fully allocated. It says given the pace of demand and limited remaining capacity, investors who have not yet participated are encouraged to act promptly should they wish to be included before the invitation closes. The bond offer opened on March 28. U.S. prosecutors may drop a criminal charge against the aerospace giant Boeing, linked to 2 crashes involving its best-selling aircraft, the 737 MAX. In an online meeting with relatives of those who died in the 2 accidents, officials for the Department of Justice, DOJ, said they were considering allowing the company to sign a non-prosecution agreement to settle the case. The move would avoid a trial over the criminal fraud charge that is due to begin in June after a judge rejected an earlier settlement in which Boeing had agreed to plead guilty. Lawyers representing the families of the crash victims said they were deeply disappointed by the new plan. Boeing currently faces a criminal fraud conspiracy charge brought in the aftermath of 2 major 737 MAX accidents in late 2018 off Indonesia and in Ethiopia in 2019. The crashes, which killed 346 people, were blamed on a poorly designed piece of flight control software which the pilots were not aware had been fitted to the aircraft. The Department of Justice subsequently accused Boeing of deliberately concealing vital information about the system from regulators, charging the firm with fraud. And finally, in the currency markets, it cost 159 Jamaican dollars and 41 cents to buy $1 US. It costs 211 Jamaican dollars and 38 cents to buy 1 British pound, and it costs 115 Jamaican dollars and 99 cents to buy 1 Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Stay tuned for more.
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
How are this
For
on
more
my TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently. But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes, Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake.
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait. I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
It's $1 million summer with Mitsubishi. And if I reach, we go, you have to reach it. Try and cross it to safe and easy. Expander, link up what you week. It's $1 million summer with Mitsubishi. L200 with space and seating comfortable. It's a Mitsubishi. It's a Mitsubishi. It's $1 million off. Them 3 ride. Features nice with the leather inside. Cool AC, everybody feel right. It's $1 million summer. $1 million summer.
Conditions apply.
Tired of waiting for your ride? Want safety and peace of mind on every journey? Amber On Time is here! With verified drivers, real-time vehicle tracking, and panic button with armed security response, your safety is our priority. Reliable service, easy booking, premium experience, it's all just a tap away. Download Amber On Time today.
The Excelsior Community College 5K Run Walk is set to take place on Saturday, May 24, 2025 at 7 a.m. starting at the main campus, 137 Mountain View Avenue. This event is part of our 50th anniversary legacy project, and proceeds are in aid of providing financial assistance for students in need. Run with purpose, walk for change. Every step you take helps pave the way for a student's future. Register now by visiting our website www.ecc.edu.jm. Excelsior Community College, 50 years strong and still moving forward.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Donna Hope.
And we're continuing to get reactions to that landmark ruling out of the Supreme Court today, declaring that the government's use of states of emergency on that rolling basis is in fact unconstitutional. That ruling handed down today supports the long-standing position of the opposition PNP, which has consistently argued against the government's extended and frequent use of the SOE as a routine crime-fighting strategy.
Between 2018 and 2023, the government declared 24 SOEs. The statement from the PNP on Friday says the Constitution stipulates that these powers are meant to be used sparingly and only in situations that pose a real and imminent threat to the democratic order of the state. The PNP has sharply criticized the use of SOE to police entire parishes, sometimes without adequate parliamentary oversight.
Now, the opposition leader says Friday's ruling vindicates those concerns.
Today's landmark ruling by the Supreme Court of Jamaica is a resounding victory for the Constitution, for the rule of law, and for the people of Jamaica. The court has affirmed what the PNP has long argued, that the multiple and extended use of states of emergency as a routine crime-fighting tool is a violation of the Constitution's extraordinary emergency powers.
Mark Golding there, the opposition leader. Joining us now to discuss, the man who brought the intellectual heft to this challenge, King's Counsel Michael Hilton. We were to be joined by the General Secretary of the PNP, Dr. Dayton Campbell, but I see him occupied.
He's occupying another
elsewhere.
seat at this moment.
King's Counsel,
yes.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mike Hilton. Good evening.
Good evening, Professor. I've been phoned here for quite a while.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Brooks.
How are you?
What was that? Intellectual heft?
Yes.
Yes.
The man who marshaled the arguments.
No.
So
thanks for inviting me on. Good night to you, listeners.
Let me ask you, King's Counsel, what part of the ruling stands out to you as being most significant?
Well, the most significant, I guess at national level, is the court saying what is an emergency for the purposes of the Constitution, what are the circumstances in which the government can employ these extraordinary powers and these, extreme measures. That's probably the most important in a general way. In your lead up just now,
yes,
you mentioned what people have called the rolling state of emergency.
Yes.
Which I think is a small part of the case. Important, but small.
Yes.
So you're saying, Mike Hilton, that the case hinged a lot on the definition of what is an emergency, what constitutes an emergency?
Yes. So the court declared all 24 states of emergency unconstitutional on two bases. One is they were not an emergency. And the other is, even if it was an emergency, the way they did it wasn't justified.
Right.
Yes. And that's before you even get to the 14-day point.
Right. And so for Jamaicans listening, King's Counsel, who may say, okay, but we've lived in an environment now of high crime, and that seems to me to be an emergency. It seems to require a response. How do we explain this ruling to them?
Right. And, it's a very understandable reaction. And in fact, it's something that the court acknowledged quite early in the judgment and repeated that there's a serious crime problem, needs serious measures to address, but not this. And, they made an important point, Ricardo and Donna, that they did an analysis of the statistics from the police, from the security forces. The statistics that showed the changes in murders and violent crimes in areas where there's states of emergency, both during and after. And they concluded that contrary to the assertion, I think was the word they used, that these measures work to reduce crime, they don't.
So there was some scientific evidence that they pulled together from the data to suggest that the SOEs, at least in these specific areas, did not have much of an impact in affecting or impacting on the type of crimes, the number of crimes, and the violent nature of the crimes. Is that what you're saying, King's Counsel?
Well,
yes.
Well, on was right to say what types of crime, because it was limited to murder.
Just to murders, yes.
So they used the statistics that they police and the government put forward in the case to show that they didn't have the effect that people think. And there's a point that's made, and this is not in the judgment, because the judgment only dealt with the statistics up to the time the case was heard. But I understand that since the case was brought, and while the case was pending, basically the government has stopped invoking the state of emergency. So there has not been any for some time. And during that time, these violent crimes have gone down. So it's a mystery to me how someone can say the state of emergency bring on this.
And I think because we are speaking, I mean, from a legal perspective, but also I hear from a kind of social and scientific perspective where the data is concerned to sort of get an understanding of the actual ruling of the courts. But you know, as King's Counsel Mike Hilton, but also as a Jamaican, that people are also looking at it in a particular way as, you know, maybe the government versus the opposition. And Dr. Dayton Campbell, I hope he will be able to join us, but he's busy somewhere else. But there's that perception that will be coming forward. And I suppose that perhaps, you know, what would you say to that kind of response? Is it a bipartisan response, or is it more about the rule of law on behalf of the people of Jamaica? Where do we look at this ruling and how do we assess it?
Yeah. So we absolutely argue this case on the basis of this is a rule of law issue. This is a issue of what does the Constitution say and what should be done to compare with it. And that has nothing to do with politics. It ought to have nothing to do with politics. Now, we're, of course, realistically living in a political space. This is a case brought by the opposition's representatives against the sitting government. So, you know, it's understandable that political lines will be drawn. But if one steps back and looks at the ruling, the things that the court said, I think one would see that this is not just politics. This is past politics.
I want to take you back to the judgment, because I found interesting, for example, in the opening paragraphs, the section related to standing and whether Dr. Campbell had standing. The judges seem to take a very expansive view of the Charter of Rights and what it allows in terms of the vindication of citizens' rights. And there are people who have said, King's Counsel, that perhaps this piece of legislation, this amendment to the Constitution, is hampering government action, especially as it relates to security. How do you view that?
Well, I think it's true to say that the Charter of Rights hampers government action. That's what it's meant to do. You have to step back and look at it for a second. But you mentioned a very interesting point, Ricardo. And for us constitutional nerds, there are a lot of important things in the judgment that kind of have nothing to do with state of emergency. The government took a preliminary point about Dayton Campbell not having the status, the standing to bring this claim. Because he had never been detained on the state of emergency. He doesn't live in a community that is under state of emergency.
So he wasn't directly affected.
Exactly. And the court said, any citizen of Jamaica who sees what he or she thinks is a constitutional breach that is of national importance has the standing to bring it to the court. This is much bigger than state of emergency, and it's a statement by the court as to access to justice, access to the court, importance of the Constitution. I think that people could see this, ought to see this, as something that's bigger than politics. That's for the good of everybody.
So therefore, Mike Hilton, you're suggesting then that this particular ruling sets a kind of precedent for future action by citizens of Jamaica?
It should. It should. If you compare what happens in the Jamaican courts to, say, Trinidad, where citizens are much more active in challenging official action, and not just official action either, action by unconstitutional action by other citizens. You know, we could take a leaf out of their book and being more active in defense of our rights.
And there is also the argument that the courts shouldn't so lightly dismiss official advice from, say, the security forces, because DCP Clifford Blake provided evidence, and the court sort of, my interpretation now, made light of his evidence in terms of not finding it very persuasive, is what I mean, to meet the threshold. And there's a question as to the lines between what the judiciary, the realm of the judiciary, and what the executive determines as being an emergency in the context of security. You thought the court straddled that line properly?
It did. You used two phrases just now. You said made light, and you said, and I think you perhaps amended it to did not find persuasive.
Right.
Right. So they absolutely didn't find persuasive. But when you look at the extent to which they quoted the various statistics, and they treated him appropriately with appropriate politeness and I think with appropriate deference, but then concluded that statistics did not bear out the case he was trying to make. You ask a good question as to where does the line get drawn, and what level of deference should the courts and us, we Jamaicans, should we pay to what the security forces say? And it seems to me that what the authorities say, not just this case, but what the effect of the judgment is, we should listen, we should give some margin of appreciation, is a phrase used, meaning some understanding and acceptance of they know more about the details and issues on the ground than the public generally.
Yes.
But having said that, you don't necessarily accept everything that is said without question. You interrogate it and you question it and you ask for proof and you look at the statistics. And that's what they did.
The Attorney General says he intends to appeal the ruling. He says he finds it surprising and in significant respects he disagrees. I imagine you'll be prepared to challenge that appeal.
Well, I see what the client says.
I've
heard that as well. I have no comment on the proposed appeal.
King's Counsel, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much,
Appreciate
King's
it as always.
Have a good. Thank you so much.
We're switching gears now to the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Mallohu Fort. She joins us now. Good evening, Minister.
Good evening, Minister.
Good evening, Ricardo. Who is your co-host? I'm sorry, I didn't.
Professor Donahoe.
Hi, yes.
Hi, Prof. How are you doing?
I
Good
am
evening
doing
to the
well.
listeners.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you've read all 44 pages yet, Minister, but your immediate reaction.
Let me tell you, I am going through the judgment, and I do believe that it has to be appealed because there are a number of things that immediately jumped out at me. And, the constitutional law is alive and well in Jamaica. But these are not matters that we can leave simply to first instance court to pronounce upon. So the decision of the Attorney General to appeal the judgment, I believe, is a sound decision. While I'm still digesting it, I've skimmed through. Some things immediately jump out at me. One is a contested view of whether this high level of crime and violence in the society is to be viewed as something normal.
Yeah.
Yes. And what does that constitute? And I want to say to everyone who is listening that the government that I'm a part of refuses to accept that this high level of violence in the society, high level of crime, although now declining, must be viewed as normal. We believe that it is something that has to be viewed in an extraordinary way. And we believe that the evidence that was before us satisfied the threshold that would treat it as an emergency to bring the powers granted under law to bear in finding a solution to the problem.
But the judges say, Minister, because it has existed for so long, they say there is logic in the assertion that something that has existed for a continued period of time cannot properly be considered an emergency, which they say is something sudden or unexpected.
So that is almost a pedantic view of emergency in the context. The opposition PNP would have the nation believe and accept that the high level of violence and crime has been normalized and should no longer be viewed as something that requires extraordinary action. We depart from that view wholeheartedly. We depart from it wholeheartedly. And I'm a little concerned about the judiciary trying to substitute its own views on what exists on the ground. I know that the court must assess the evidence that is before it, and it must apply the law to it. But I have to say, on a reading, I just have a number of question marks. The other thing is that the standard of derogation in a state of emergency is a lower standard
Hold on,
than
Minister.
the
Hold on.
general
Help,
standard.
help the listeners know when we
Yes.
say standard of
All right.
derogation. What do we mean by that?
So the Constitution guarantees a set of rights and freedoms to everyone in Jamaica. And there are specific ones that are guaranteed to citizens of Jamaica. And these are rights that attend upon us as human beings. All right? The rights are not absolutely guaranteed. They are guaranteed to the extent that when you enjoy your rights, you do not prevent others from also enjoying the rights. So it's to the extent that others can also enjoy their rights. I use as an example that you are not allowed under the Constitution of Jamaica to walk around, freedom of movement, with an intimidating presence, whether you're going to touch your hip or something is going to bulge out under your clothes and prevent others from also enjoying the very right to freedom of movement that is guaranteed. And we know in many communities there is a harsh reality that the presence of some in a space means the absence of others in that space, because their very presence is intimidating and sends messages clearly. All right? So I see that there is a contest in this society about what we should accept as normal, because some things have existed in the space for a long time and government have not been able to address them. Well, the government that I'm a part of has said that some of the intractable problems, we do not view them as normal. And the fact that previous administrations have failed to address them doesn't mean that we are not going to try to bring them under control. Doesn't mean that we must go outside of the limits of the law, you know. I'm not saying that at all. I don't want there to be any mistake about that, because we respect the rule of law. There are contested views about the rule of law. I see the aspect about separation of power.
Yes.
So one of the things that I'd be curious to hear how the higher court deal with a view which says the power under the Constitution to declare a state of emergency is given to the executive branch. The power to extend a declared state of emergency is granted to the legislative branch. All right? The action taken was not to extend a state of emergency that was not extended, because that's just one view of the matter. Because it appears that the court bought a perspective to say that the fresh declaration amounted to a continuation.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a contested view.
And so these are some of the points, Minister, that the appeal will go through on.
Has to be looked on. Because the other thing is that it's not some of the executive. It's not some of the executive that is drawn from the legislature. Under the Constitution of Jamaica, you can only be in the cabinet and you can only be a minister of government, the executive, the political executive, if you are in the legislature.
Yes. Yes.
You have to be in the House of Representatives or in the Senate. And the number of ministers that can be drawn from the Senate is no less than 2, no more than 4. And the rest must come from the House of Representatives.
Yes.
Separation of power under our Constitution is not so much the separation of the legislative and executive branch, it's the separation of the judicial branch from the legislature and the executive. But you have to look on who is given the power and who exercises it, which power is given to whom.
Yes.
Before you start descending into arguments around that. So I'm reading the judgment, and I will reread it because it raises a lot of interesting points. But it's a contested view in the society as to what we must accept as normal. And we will never accept this high level of crime and violence as being normal in the society. The fact that others have failed to deal with it doesn't mean that we are going to view it as just normal, as something that just regular policing. Thankfully, the investments in improving the investigative capacity of the force is yielding positive results. But those things take time. You don't plant and reap the same day. Some things take time. And I think people are forgetting just what we have gone through in Jamaica. And we're not out of the woods yet. The level of safety that we all deserve in the space, we have not achieved it yet. But thankfully, we're at an improved place. The high level of crime and violence far exceed the capacity of the existing force. Thankfully, now we have greater capacity to deal with it.
Running out of time,
it's
Minister.
not for the judiciary to substitute its own views. The judiciary must interpret the law, absolutely. But, interpretation takes place in context. And there are some things that I have read about the judgment that do not sit well with me. And I do believe that the arguments need to be expanded and presented before the higher courts.
Minister, and I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more about the issue, Minister, because it sounds as if the government is steadying itself through the Attorney General's office to make a strong appeal to this ruling.
Some of the findings appear also inconsistent. Just on a quick reading.
Yes.
Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort, the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs and former Attorney General of Jamaica. Thank you so much, Minister, for your time.
I
appreciate it.
Minister. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
5 minutes after 7, we're going to go to the break. And when we come back from the break, road rage and defensive driving. We'll get some perspectives.
You're a VIP with CIBC Caribbean. Spend US $100 or local equivalent with your CIBC Visa credit card for your chance to win a crop over VIP experience in Barbados. An all expense paid trip for two, staying at the Courtyard by Marriott Hotel, cultural tours, and Aura experience with full glam makeup plus tickets to the hottest last lap events. Visit CIBC Caribbean /crop over 2025 for more info. Conditions apply.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking them.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team. Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come unwind with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat,
life skills,
global connect,
and Bust the Youth. That's the Talk Up Youth radio show, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth, don't miss it.
This Child's Month, the Design Studio is calling all young creatives and proud parents. It's the Kids Room Redo Contest, a 4-week celebration of creativity and color. Whether your child decorated their own space or you created a magical room just for them, we want to see it. Share photos, win prizes, and get featured on our show. Tune in every week this May to the Design Studio with Karen Booker from 1 to 3 p.m. for fun, inspiration, and winners. Enter now by sending your pics via WhatsApp to 876-280-6629. Let's make Child's Month bold, bright, and beautiful.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come on, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media. And you're back with us. Welcome back. Now we are in our final segment, and we're going to be talking a little bit about road rage and defensive driving here nationwide at 5. And of course, we're talking about this through the conversations that many persons are now having, where we saw a man in a video assaulting a nurse in Mount Airy, St. Andrew, who had reportedly dragged the woman from her car and spat in her face twice before assaulting her. She's a nurse. The uncle of the nurse, who requested that his name be withheld, spoke with Nationwide News on Friday. He told our news center that the accused man was blocking traffic and appeared drunk when his niece was attacked. Dana Davy reports.
The incident took place on Mount Friendship Road, Mount Airy, on Tuesday evening at about 7. According to the uncle, his niece, who is in her mid-30s, was on her way to work at a corporate area hospital. He says upon reaching a section of the roadway, she encountered a motorist driving recklessly ahead of her in a Mercedes-Benz.
So when she coming down, the Benz in front of her and the man a drive away in the road. So coming down now, it's like him a go in the middle of the road and out and him call like him drunk. And he stop and talk to somebody. So she said she had toot her hand and I say, oh, no, can pull over for me me late to work. So if you can pull over, make me pass. Me said the man get, I say, who is that? Who is that? Huh? Who is that? A blow. And he come out.
The uncle says the man got out of the Benz and approached his niece as she sat in the car. He says the man spat in his niece's face before dragging her from the vehicle.
He come out and get angry and spit in her face. So she says she'll fling a bucket of water upon him. And he spit in her face again. 2 times he spit in her face. He jar out of the vehicle and start assault her. And lift her, fling her gun upon her back and step in her face and back gun upon her. And the gun drop and a man take up the gun.
In the shocking video, which has gone viral on social media, the man is seen tussling with the nurse, who was dressed in a white tunic and white trousers. The video was recorded by another motorist. At one point, the man appears to lift the nurse, flip her over, and slam her to the ground. A motor vehicle partially blocks that specific act, but the woman's feet can be seen briefly in the air before her body hits the turf. What was clearly seen was when the man drags the nurse directly behind the right rear wheel of the motor car and then stands on her head with his right foot. The nurse could be heard crying out in agony. The man is then handed what appears to be a firearm by another man, whose role in the incident is unclear from the video. The aggressor tucks the item into his waistband before the video ends. The uncle says the incident has left his niece traumatized.
She said, put me in the vehicle, so him that kill me. The uncle had, I said, bossy, stop, you can't do the girl, so then try to hold him or nothing. Because you see the one who have the gun, you see me wrestle with him to get back the gun from him. In the video. Yeah, she had ball for her shoulder and her neck. I remember saying walk in her face, you know. She get released, but she still have feel pain with her hand and thing. So I don't know, she kind of traumatized because all her foot bottom cut up because she not driving her shoes.
A report was made to the police and the man was arrested. He remains in custody this afternoon. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Joining us to discuss road rage and defensive driving are psychiatrist Professor Wendell Abel. Good evening, Professor Abel.
Good evening.
And Managing Director, Grinnell's Driving School, Alfonso Grinnell. Good evening, Mr. Grinnell.
Good evening, and good evening to Dr. Abel.
Dr. Abel, let me start with you because I find this episode so distressing, and all I keep thinking to myself is, who raises somebody like this? What?
Not just that, Ricardo, but he's a 65-year-old man.
What kind of what goes in? I don't even. What goes into somebody behaving like this? Or treating another human being like this?
Believing they have the right to treat another human being like this, Professor Abel.
Yes, it's very frightening, and I think it speaks to a wider issue of indiscipline and violence in our society.
Yes.
And what is so frightening that this is an act of violence beyond measure against a female and a nurse.
In uniform.
You know, in uniform.
She's in uniform, yes.
Nurses in uniform are usually persons that we have the highest level of regard and respect for. You know, it's really frightening, and it just speaks to an individual and probably is reflective of a society out of control. You know, and I just want to just pause to just extend my to listeners, because it must have been a very frightening and traumatic incident, and also to the wider society who clearly would be impacted, and members of the nursing profession who I think are also, hurt and by all of this incident and traumatized, and as a society, what can we do but just to extend our profound concern and support
But Professor Abel,
such an incident.
And one of the things that I'm having a conversation about this earlier today, someone mentioned that in another dispensation, the head of the NAJ would have already made some statement regarding this kind of harm being done to a member of that group.
Possibly, but I suppose the problem might be, I don't want to offer an explanation for persons without their permission, but maybe they're being cautious about it because I'm sure it's now a matter before the court.
It's a matter before the court.
Yes, and it's a very sensitive matter. But I would like to go on record on behalf of everyone to just express our deepest concern and sense of pain for this first female and nurse who's been traumatized like this by other individuals,
Yeah. I associate myself with those comments, Professor. Mr. Grinnell, one of the things I was just discussing with Prof is how to respond where you're on the road and you recognize that for whatever reason somebody's becoming aggressive
and potentially violent.
Yeah, and I think we all see a lot of these kind of road rage incidents. I mean, certainly this is the worst I've ever seen. But we do hear of and see these incidents. Is there any advice as to how we react when these things happen?
Yes, it is. And I also want to offer my sincere concern for the nurse. And and this is a negative message that is going out there. And there are a lot of negatives in our society. And this attitude which we don't need it. But it's real. when these things happen. Because what happened is road rage is rage out of control, anger out of control. And that's why you're going to see this other thing, and it don't seem to be rational at all. Because when a person really gets angry, most times there's nothing much you can do until they cool down. And that's why we sometimes probably even have murder-suicide.
Yes.
Where somebody get out of control, do something, and when they settle down, Jesus, I did that. And then suddenly they just can't deal with the consequences of it. So road rage is real, and it's something that we have to try and minimize by the way we act. And that's the question you asked. So the first thing, in a case like this, we tell the nurse to do, which is sad, she's not the aggressor. However, once you see somebody behaving the way, block the road, you have to ask yourself some question. Why is he doing this? Is he upset about something? Let me make sure all my doors are locked.
And windows
make sure my
are
windows
up.
are up.
Yes.
These are some what we call low-hanging fruit that will help to reduce the situation, especially for you being attacked. So if the person comes to the car, first of all, if the windows are up and the door locked, then there'll be no way for the person to have spot in the nurse's face. And therefore, the nurse didn't need to throw any water on him, which sometimes what aggravates make the situation worse. And the thing is, it is, of course, it's a biblical term, soft answer turn for real wrath. Sometimes the expert said, don't say anything. Don't gesticulate. Don't give any fingers. Don't sort of wave off the person. Just remain as calm as you can be. And if there's an out in terms of any space on the road that you can smoothly drive off, you do that. But again, here's the situation where there's a gun came in play.
Yes.
So there's a lot of things here, but the key thing is to first secure yourself in your vehicle. Make sure that the person may not be able to attack you any at all.
And Mr. Grinnell, one of the things that happens when we have these kinds of situations, and also Professor Abel, that our society, we are not really good on speaking about, de-escalating situations, trying to mitigate our own role in it and removing ourselves for safety's sake. So the conversations are going to be that we are victim blaming. What we are trying to do is to provide suggestions for future activities of a similar sort that might be helpful for persons. Because in your own work, Mr. Grinnell, do you also have what is called a defensive driving, activity that people can participate in? Are there suggestions there that people can utilize, especially women who are more vulnerable in these situations, to help them?
So we need to address the root cause of the problem, which is indiscipline on the road.
It's not just indiscipline, though. It's a lot more than that.
And violence. So part of it is the indiscipline, because every day as drivers, we encounter this sort of behavior, the indiscipline, and the need for us to ensure. I mean, there are major issues contributing to that. People not being properly trained.
Yes.
Not getting the proper training to drive properly, not being aware
buying
of
their
the
license,
rules,
buying
the
license,
which we all know is a big problem in this country. And we behave as it's not a big problem, and we don't seem to be able to solve it. People who can't read and write getting license, and they don't know how to conduct themselves properly on the road. That's part of the wider discipline. And the need for us, maybe the society has gone out of control in terms of road courtesy and so on, but the need for us to be able to enforce some sense of discipline and order on the road. I also want to address the other issue, and I'm not suggesting it's the case here, but a study that we did at university, a study led by a colleague of mine, Dr. Lalwani, and we found that a high percentage of drivers in this country admit to using alcohol and cannabis while driving.
Yes. And what do those substances do in terms of what does it do to them?
They will contribute to road rage and just your inability to manage your emotions on the road, contribute to lack of coordination and just bad driving and the level of aggression and violence that we see, right? These are things that contribute to the bizarre and aggressive and violent behavior that we see, yes? And it's something that we also have to address and deal with as a society.
But one of the things also, Professor Abel and Mr. Grinnell, is that there's also a gender component, and I have to bring it in, because if we look at the road fatalities, the road crashes, you will find that a majority of the perpetrators and the persons who are being harmed are men, many of them young men. So there's also that component to it, the gender component. And in this instance, we see that, again, the perpetrator here is a male, a man. Is there something happening there that we need to also look at as a society?
Professor Abel?
As Professor Abel, I'm not hearing, yes.
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, yes, in terms of, we're looking at, we know in terms of violence and violent behavior in this country, young men are both perpetrators and themselves victims, yes? And clearly it has a lot to do with how we are socializing our boys and our young men in this society, yes? And it just speaks to the wider issue in terms of violence in the society and aggression and the extent to which as a society we have normalized these things and we've become desensitized to it, yes? And every now and again we get a bizarre situation like this and we talk about it. But it is a recurrent problem that shows its ugly head in a different scenario. Today it's on the road, tomorrow it's in the community where there's community violence, another day it's in older people, another day it's violence against children, you know? The fundamental problem is a violent society and we need to address these issues.
And Mr. Grinnell, Prof had asked you about defensive driving and how that can assist in, if at all, in situations like these. Any advice there?
Yeah, it definitely can. Again, defensive driving is a word that term that people use, loosely, because some people don't know anything about it. I've gone a session and a minister will come. So we need to do defensive driving. Defensive driving is really a comprehensive approach to driving with an aim to avoid escalation of any incident at all.
Yes.
In this case, road rage. And therefore, defensive driving will help. We normally use a 3 R's approach to that. So we said today, and in this case it is sad, but the person who's likely to be attacked, we said, first of all, ask yourself the question, reflect on what is happening. Why am I getting these vibes from this other person? And then the next question, you start to refocus. My objective is to get to work, and to get to work in one piece. Therefore, let me protect myself. And then reframe. Put the thing into perspective. If I do this, what can happen? How can it get worse? Yes. And therefore, I don't want to do that. My objective is to get to work, and anything that I can do to ensure that I get to work safely, that's what I need to do. So in this case, which is hard when you're being attacked, I was just talking to a driver today when I was doing a training, and he said he's driving his vehicle at about 80 towards the toll on the 110 toll road. A trailer man came behind him. Beep, 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 beep. And he's saying, why is he behind me? I'm in the left lane. Why don't you just go to the right lane and pass? And he kept going, but he said he's not going to make this guy make him lose his cool. Then the trailer went to the right. And before he knew it, the driver gave him the head of the trailer and leave the back for him to run underneath it.
Oh, my.
He had to run off the road. But here is now somebody that has done defensive driving. He has a licensed firearm. Of course, the same temptation came. Fixing business. Because I didn't ask for this. I didn't do this. He caused this. Let me show him what I can do. But instead, he said, no. How will this finish? Where will this take me? Or what could be the outcome of this? Because if you don't do that, you will act and later on regret your action. And this is what defensive driving does. It forces you to think about the possible outcome and how to take the best one in a given scenario. So it's really, really comprehensive.
Very comprehensive.
Defensive driving, that.
Professor Wendell Abel, Alfonso
Yeah.
Grinnell, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for
You're
coming.
most welcome.
Have a good weekend. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
And I am sincerely hopeful that the book, the entire book, every page, the cover, everything
The library, the whole
will be
library of
thrown
books.
at this animal, because that behavior is not human.
You know, one of the things that happened, Ricardo, I think for many people who watched that video and the 2 videos that were sent to us yesterday, is the act.
You know,
of,
I have not watched it.
No, I didn't watch
Because
it at first, but I had to.
No, I
had
saw
to,
the
had to.
clip of him standing on her head, and I said I didn't know I exposed myself
didn't want
to
to
that.
expose myself.
So just
to it.
hearing it a while ago in the story that Dana read, it's
I had
distressing,
to.
man. You don't
I
have a
had
mother.
to,
You
because,
don't have sisters.
You know, one of these.
You don't have a woman.
But Ricardo, is a woman, yes, but also, what do you think gives you the right to do? The woman is throwing down on the ground
Dehumanize somebody
and
like that.
putting his foot on her head, and this is a woman in uniform, a professional on her way to work. But so one of the things that we are trying to do, listeners and YouTubers, is also to put into the mix for people who will potentially be in the this kind of situation some suggestions for the way forward, because many of us are on the roads driving, myself included, and people, as they say, get boomy, carry on with a lot of antics, almost smash up your vehicle, running you off the road, and you have to take a stance. How do you respond? People like myself were taught very early, you're in a situation, your vehicle has, well, we used to do stick shift, but anyway, it has D and R. One of those gears will get you out of the situation, and you can head to the nearest police station and get yourself safe, because that is also important. Very critical.
How old is he alleged to be, Dana?
65. He's a 65-year-old man. If you have
Big,
lived for 65
tough,
years
walkless man.
and you don't know how to conduct yourself, you see, that is the challenge, I think. And the repercussions, usually, my mother once told me, when people put them on, you know, Ricardo, all of the repercussions that are going to come, the lick don't take off. That is a challenge. So we have to try and put measures in place and suggestions. So defensive driving, I went through defensive driving as a young woman, and it taught me a lot in terms of how to de-escalate situations, how to move out of situations. And one of the things I was taught is that the vehicle is a large piece of metal. It can do many things.
Every book, every page, the whole library. Matter of fact, put him under the jail. Under the jail. 630-9371-4 618-8255. Time for your calls.
It's the weekend and the youth are taking over the airwaves. Yes, we are the new voices and faces of the Talk Up You radio show. The voice of the Jamaican youth right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
After a busy week of work and school, come and wine with Jamaica's #1 youth radio show.
We're bringing you entertainment, fun facts, and staying true to youth development and advocacy.
Catch the action each and every Saturday as we roll out buzzy segments. What say you?
Youth for chat.
Life skills,
Global Connect, and Bust the Youth.
That's the Talk Up Youth radio show, Saturdays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM. Talk Up Youth, Miss Effie.
Talk Up Youth. Don't miss it.
Not a mercy. This one is very classic, dedicated to all the schoolers who are taking beats.
If you've ever struggled to pass an exam, then you'll know that students today are under great pressure to get good grades and secure qualification needed to move on to higher education. The problem is that too many students are struggling alone and could really benefit from connecting with hardworking teachers and other bright students in other parts of the country and the region. Join me, Dennis Brooks, this and every Friday evening from 8 to 9, with a repeat on Saturday morning from 8 to 9. For the A-Team, a study group on radio, my team of teachers, students, and experts will break down the syllabus, giving you information, tips, and past paper questions that will help you get top grades in your upcoming exams. Follow us on Facebook Live and on Twitter and be a part of the community. It's the A-Team, Fridays at 8 p.m. with a repeat at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. It's your free extra class on radio and social media. And it's right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Alric, you're up first.
Welcome back, Alric. Yes, good evening, Alric.
Good evening, Prof. Good evening, Ricardo. Ricardo and Prof. I know me a boil from that incident.
I'm steaming. I'm trying not to boil.
Well, but look here. With due respect to Dr. Wendell Abel, who is well respected, and Mr. Grenell, who has been doing this defensive driving thing for years. The defensive driving thing, Prof. Now go help him.
Lick him down. Lick him down, Alric. Lick him down.
Alric.
Put the car in a D and drive.
Alric, I saw someone ask a question in the YouTube, so let me explain. When you have a car, it can go in 4 directions. You'd be surprised, depending on the state of the road. It can go forward, backward, it can go to the left, and it can go to the right. You put your car in the right gear and you leave. Because in a lot of these situations, you may have to spin around the car and go, reverse out a bit. That's one of the things that we were taught, because you're trying to leave the situation. Then if you can't, then you have to deal with what is in front of you. We are also taught to keep our car doors locked and our windows up. Because again, people are going to approach you in different ways, and you have to learn to protect yourself, especially as a woman. And that's what we were very important. If you're in traffic, you deal with it. And so there are different situations. It's different. It's a lot of different situations. Yes.
The young lady goes to panic because let me tell you
we know. Yes.
These guys who drive the Benz and the dishes and the one road rage to women, then do it to us men too, you know.
Yes.
Them stopping at the road and I talk to them friends, and if you have blow there and them tell you the worst word, and sometimes no.
By the way, Dana, have we decriminalized pepper spray and tasers yet?
No.
That's something we need to do.
Which is why I have not said anything about such implements
Because should have one taser for just wet him in neck with it, or spray some pepper spray in him.
They are illegal in our country, but there are ways and means that women try to protect themselves when they are on the road.
Distressing,
that's how I
man.
would put it.
Just hearing that woman scream out a while ago in that clip was so distressing.
The scream from her when him put in her neck and her head side. How old is he, Ricardo?
65.
65, I'm being told. Big, tough, workless man.
Boy, I don't know. I can't compare it. I look at it, I'm tears literally come because let me tell you something, guys, before I go. I have sisters. I have daughters. I have 2 nieces who are nurse. And on the might and 1 year, this is me a 73. And if a guy do that to anyone, I might email them like that, you know. Ricardo, you have a carrot Sunday dinner, come give me with rice and peas.
And you know, say me that carry it, me that make sure some good steamed fish. Yeah, yes, I would carry it, Alric, because I would understand. It's always distressing to me because I have 2 sisters. And every time I see men being violent towards women in that way, in that kind of unprovoked way, as a matter of fact, it just, yeah.
But you know, one of the things that we have to... All right, Alric, take care of yourself. And you know, one of the things we have to put into the mix, these little things have become a part of our lives, and they have been useful in many instances of bringing out of darkness things that were never once in the light. And so it has provided a lot of people with an opportunity to see things that they would not have seen otherwise. This is one of the instances.
Richie, good evening.
Yes, Richie, good evening.
Good evening, Prof. Good evening, Ricardo.
Yes.
How you do?
Rather bad. You see that demon possessed animal that did that wickedness to that lady? He is to be charged for attempted murder. That is what I charge as a tribute. You know why? The news said that he dropped the gun and gun dropped. Then he put her down and stepped into her face. So if he got never drop a shoot, now shoot her, you know. A shoot him plan was to shoot the lady. So I believe he should be charged for attempted murder, and he's supposed to get a good sentence for it. And that helps the fine as well. And send a message to all those who out there we have that mindset, because I'm alone, you know. A lot of us out there have that mindset. He used to be charged for it. Seriously. You see, like I read now, we say, when I kill him, you know why? If I was there and it happened, I would try a thing. But if I kill him premeditatedly, he can't do it. But he used to be fine. Seriously, too. That's my first opinion. You see, that British citizens will then say that get a landmark ruling. No landmark ruling for me. He was the main advisor of PJ Passen. And they caused crime to go up, the gangs to go up to 350. 350. And they hardly said one who carried the government to court to get rid of the SOE, knowing that it was only 14,000 police is here to fight crime. And if they had won that case, crime would be way at top right now. And they would try to use to bring down the government so the government not fighting crime. So in my opinion, it is politics. The third point is, as I said, we want him to call a press conference and show us what he has to prove to us that he really wants to do it. Because we do not believe. We believe that him and Tapan are his friends. We get something illegal and try to fool us to believe that we...
No, Richie, no.
Why
no.
Richie
There is no evidence. There is no evidence that Mr. Golding. Hold on, no. You're not allowed. Yeah, no, you're not telling me that's your opinion, but you are not allowed to cast that kind of aspersion that he has done something illegal. Withdraw it. Withdraw that.
Okay, we go ahead. If I say we want him to call a press conference, I'm sure that he renounces it. Would I be wrong?
You can call for that. Yes, you can call for that.
Next thing that day, I said to you that Habakkuk Christianly said between him and Peter Bunty get over $70 million for things like you say you don't know about it. The record is there, and I'm going to get it. And you know what is my problem? I always believe that Mark Golding started their direction. It's questionable. So I want to know the truth.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, I listened to this, and knowing Mark Golding, I heard that he was the brainchild at Bunting, Jordan Golden Company, and I learned about some the money before even after I said it. So if that body is really true, I believe that is I mean, what kind of subject reduction is questionable. So we want to know the truth about it.
Again, no, there is no evidence that Mr. Golding's declaration. Why do you do this, Richie? There is no evidence that Mr. Golding's declarations are questionable.
No.
There are multiple reasons. Hold on. There are multiple reasons why wealth or property that you think could exist is not declared on the declaration. That doesn't make it quote unquote questionable. You have to be careful about the things you say and the aspersions that you cast. There is no evidence of that.
I have no evidence.
Then you cannot say it. That's my point. If you don't have the evidence, you can't say it. It was presented to the Integrity Commission and has been duly certified under law.
And we have to wait.
Thank you, Richie.
Thank you, Richie. Some of these points will come up again, I'm sure. But thank you, Richie. Have a good weekend. And before we continue, I'm just reminding the listeners that the gentleman in question, Robert Bell, was charged by the St. Andrew Police for assault occasioning.
So my understanding,
no.
My understanding is that they have withdrawn.
They have withdrawn.
The police withdrew the release that said he was charged.
So what is happening now then?
We are not clear.
Okay,
we're not
so
clear
we'll
on
wait
that.
because that was the first release that we had heard, but he was taken into custody. So we'll await that. But in the meantime, I find that the citizens are a bit restive. Hi, Robbie. Yes, I'm looking at the YouTubers, but we are talking with our callers. Hi, Bobby. Yes, I'm just saying hi to Robbie in the YouTube chat. Yes, good evening, Bobby.
Good evening, bro. Good evening, Ricardo.
Good evening.
You know, when I saw that video, I said to myself, you see, if I was passing there and I saw that, I would make the news. Because that man, he wouldn't get away. But what I will do, I will keep it close to my chest. But he would not get away. Don't lick a woman in front of me. Woman nice. Don't lick none in front of me. Ricardo, if me see if me see you lick your partner in front of me, you're not going to get away. You're not going to get away. And make I tell you something, when I saw and I hear the woman scream, me say, my blood boil up inside of me. But I'm so happy that he's in police custody, because that man, he knows no better. He don't know better, right? He is a crocodile. Do you know what is a crocodile?
No.
Enlighten us.
A crossbreed between an alligator and a crocodile. That is him. Right? Yes, and the other thing I would like to talk about quickly, I want to commend the Prime Minister and his team for opening the urban center out in St. Thomas. At least not only the people in St. Thomas it will offer employment to, but other people from the neighboring parish can go there and get employment and so on. And I should also touch on the last point I want to make. It is the Integrity Commission. I agree that an inspectorate should be there to as an oversight for the Integrity Commission, because trust me, the present way how I see the last staff manage that office, no, it don't manage properly as far as I am concerned. So I think it needs an oversight. And if the inspectorate is to come, I would give it my 100% support.
So you're supporting the proposal by Everett Warmington?
Yes, man, yes, yes.
All
Right,
right.
Bobby.
Thanks for the call.
Thanks for the call. Have a good weekend.
Michael, good
Hi,
evening.
Michael. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, Michael.
Good evening, Miss. How are you this evening?
I am very good, Michael. Tell us what you're talking about today.
Yeah, me up in the mountain here. I listen to them, man.
Which mountain you on?
Say that again?
Which mountain top you on?
Up in the Blue Mountain here, East Rural, St. Andrew, up in the highest part of Jamaica, man.
Cool. Yes, cool.
With some nice showers of rain up here today, you know. But this man here, we commit that act, man. He seems like him lucky, man, because he went to man extra rude, man, and he's a big senior, man. Yes. He should be properly charged. You hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you, man. Yes, man. Yes, Michael.
Yeah, man, he should be properly charged. He should have known better. He should have set example for the youth, them, man.
Yes.
Because Mr. the police are about him like the man who killed the 9-year-old, man. He should have them angle them should have get. Him out hard and rude, man. He in every angle, him have no right. He seems like him is a madman or something, man. Wow. And the next thing, you know, the rain a fall up in the mountain here, you know. I have a place up here where need a bridge, you know, with them call Hazard, like Davison, Westfield, Syncona Garden, you know, but I like, me mention it to the minister, you know, Mr. Green. He said him have it, make a note of it and thing, you know, but the rain coming here, sometimes children can't come to school, teacher can't go over, teacher can't come over, because I have 2 primary school over in the community there where me I tell you, you know, and it's a community where children from all over Kingston, all of my school at Kingston, you know, you could imagine from a rain season, all 2, 3, all sometime when a storm come over a week, 2 weeks, you man can go. It's a place where them say they have a record, say if you cross it, you'll watch down in Yellowstone, you can swim, you know about the record there.
Yes.
Well, it's right there. It's in your Missouri constituency. So, I would like to see what them can do towards it, you know, sir.
All right.
And miss.
All right, Michael,
All right,
hear
Michael, thank you, yes. Delroy, how you doing? What happened to the ladies? The ladies not calling us. Hi, Delroy, yes.
Good night, how are you all doing?
We're good, Delroy. What's happening?
Yes, I'm right here, you know, I give him thanks, yeah? Are you Jamaican, right?
Me?
Okay.
I'm from, yes, man, I'm from St. Catherine, Linstead.
Okay, and
yes.
I'm sure Ricardo is a Jamaican. So you have a Jamaican birth certificate, right?
Yeah, we're listening to where you're leading with it. Lead along. We're listening, yes. We're leading. You're heading somewhere. Right? You're heading in a direction.
Yes, man. So, what I know PJ Patterson is from Hanover. And I know that he have a Jamaican birth certificate. His Sister P, I think she's from St. Elizabeth and she have a Jamaican passport, a Jamaican birth certificate. So if anything come up,
I think she's from St.
I
Catherine.
don't think they will have to go sleep on
Woodhall.
to can show them birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm a born Jamaican. I'm a laborite. I'm not a born a laborite, but I'm a laborite, and I'm proud to be a laborite. I hear that man, that British man, talking about all laborites should be shamed. So I consider to myself, should be shame of what? He should be shame to really know that he's talking that he's born in Jamaica, and up until now he can identify a Jamaican birth certificate. I sure Andrew Holness have a birth certificate for Jamaica. But nobody know where he born because he can't present a Jamaican birth certificate until this day. And what I know, Darrell Vaz them, they have a dual citizenship. And when Darrell Vaz win election, they take it from him until he go through court. So I don't know how this man feel comfortable to want to lead, the same want to lead Prime Minister in Jamaica with a dual citizenship. And I mean, people must sit down and comfortable with it. So when him talking about Andrew, if it was some country, Andrew couldn't continue. If it was some country for real, he could never be there trying to be a prime minister with a dual citizenship. He should have denounced that.
So you don't accept that he's renounced it?
He don't denounce that, and he have it sit down comfortable. This is why in the thing there, that's why you want to really have overseas people to really come sit down at the parliament with all those things, you know. But one thing I have to tell him, that won't work because after this, I didn't want him to denounce it, you know. But as far as it is right now, he can renounce it. But after this general election, he's gonna need it because I think he's gonna have to light a candle and sing a song because he won't be a prime minister of Jamaica and he won't be an operation leader after this. You know? I remember KD Knight said, pack your bag and go. So after this general election, he need to pack his bag and go. So this thing that he don't decide to renounce, it will be a use to him after general election, but not for now.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Delroy. Thank you. Hi, Joy. Good evening. Yes, Joy.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
And good evening to Ricardo as well. I just want to add my voice to the condemnation of that awful situation today. I mean, that monster is not just a case of road rage. Did you see he intended to degrade her in a way that is just unimaginable, a young woman? And I tell you, I haven't heard from the Nurses Association of Jamaica, haven't heard anything from Madame Babsy Grange or her PNP counterpart, haven't heard any statement issued by the Medical Doctors Association, anything like that. It's as if people are just watching, kind of gawking at this. It is a disgusting and despicable act. And I want to tell you something. When I saw the clip, I called my daughter. And I said, make I tell you something. I said, Mommy will sell every striking thing that I own to defend you running that wretch over. And I mean, it's horrible to have to say that to your child, that the only way that as a young woman you can defend yourself in Jamaica is by being violent yourself. I had to say to her, if you come upon a situation like that, you put your car in drive and you floor that pedal, and it is a horrible thing to say to your child, but I just cannot wrap my head around a grown man. What I say is age
65 years old. 65.
Treating that child like that, and to go up close and to spit in her face and to step in her head. That shows it's not just about road rage.
It's a disregard for her humanity.
Yes, for her humanity.
For her as a human being.
Exactly, and showing a kind.
I rear dogs, and nobody could dare do that to my dog. And not come back from me yard. I'm telling you. If my dog don't attack you, and you do that to my dog, you not come back to me yard. I tell you. And I'm waiting to hear from all.
Well, I'm being told. Yes. So I'm being told the University Hospital of the West Indies has issued a statement condemning it. Apparently, she works there.
Yes.
I'm also being told that Patricia Duncan Sutherland of the PNP has issued a statement condemning it, and of course the Minister of
Well,
Health.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes, the Minister of Health also condemned it.
The lead time would have taken a little bit of time, but we are happy to hear that because we did wonder where the official voices were. It takes a little bit of time because some persons only knew about it today. If you were not deep in social media, you would not have known what was happening because it came out, a lot of us saw it last night and then it kind of broke ground today. So a lot of so there's a lag time, yes. And I think the minister said something as well, Minister Tufton, I think.
I did hear Minister Tufton.
And Dr. Dawes,
the only one I heard.
Dr. Alfred Dawes has also condemned it.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm so happy to hear that because I follow Nationwide religiously and I didn't hear any of those news clips. I heard Minister Fox.
No, today was a very busy day in terms of media releases. We got quite a few. I think some of them will be posted online, but the stories are written. But yes, they can.
I am happy to hear that. But this, you see, I'm on radio. I can't say the things that I want to say.
No, Joy. Trust me, Joy. Joy, I understand.
We understand, Joy.
Right, but I want this monster to be made an example of. I don't care what kind of days, whether him drunk or him high or him possessed. He must be made an example of. And
Agreed.
if he's a businessman, we must petition in business. Nobody not for go there again. I'm telling you.
There's that plan afoot on social media already. Joy, thanks so much. And I'm going to read the statement from the UHWI, which is a part of my own workplace. So thank you so much, Joy. And I'll read the statement indeed.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Yeah, man, you too. Appreciate it.
And so the statement from the UHWI for immediate release, statement from the CEO and Board of Management of the University Hospital of the West Indies, UHWI, regarding circulating video of assault on staff member, dated today. The Board of Management and Executive Leadership of the University Hospital of the West Indies are aware of a video currently being circulated that shows a disturbing incident involving the assault of a UHWI staff member. We unequivocally condemn this act of violence. The safety, dignity, and well-being of all our staff members are of the utmost importance, and we find such behavior completely unacceptable under any circumstance. No one should face violence or intimidation as they go about their lawful duty. We are in close contact with the affected staff member and have moved swiftly to offer all necessary support. We commend the Jamaica Constabulary Force for their prompt and decisive action in charging the alleged perpetrator. We now await the full course of justice to be served and trust that the matter will be handled with the seriousness it warrants. And this is from the Chief Secretariat Office at the University Hospital of the West Indies.
Put him under the jail.
Indeed.
Yeah. It's very distressing. And I deliberately didn't watch it. I saw just a clip last night of the standing in the head, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to watch it. I don't like seeing bullying of any kind. I don't watch those videos. I don't watch it. Even school students and them bullying each other, I don't watch it. And so I was hearing the scream for the first time in Dana's report, and may I tell you, man, cut me up inside.
We have Ian. Hi, Ian.
Hi, good evening, everyone. How are you doing?
Yes,
doing all right.
Doing okay.
Great. It's a very sad. I don't like talking about that incident. I'm happy I wasn't driving by because the story would perhaps have been different. Believe you me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm calling regarding a ruling today from the Supreme Court. I believe it is, right? And I am very disheartened. I think what jumped out at me the most was the part that said that crime, it's almost like it's a norm.
Yes.
For 1,600 murders to take place. When Jamaica at one time was declared the murder capital of the world. When Jamaica have so many restrictions in going to other foreign country, when you would have had release coming out warning, American warning their citizens to not travel to Jamaica. So the rest of the world could recognize that there was a problem, but our local court says something otherwise. And for me, it is what this is saying to me, that the PNP took this matter to court. And this is how I'm thinking as a lay Jamaican. I don't care what nobody want to say. to believe that crime, the way it was the norm, and we don't need to do anything extraordinary about it. That's what the PNP has left for me as a voter to think. And the only thing I'll say to the Prime Minister is that he should call the election, because I realize that the PNP seem to have not lost enough seat. And the Jamaican people are going to send a stronger message to the PNP what we want for our country. Not what they want, but what we want for our country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you, Ian. Have a good weekend. Thank you. And you know, we started talking about violence in a lot of ways, you know, with that ruling about the SOEs, and we're ending up in a same conversation, Ricardo. We look forward to a good weekend. Yes.
But I also want to say we have to take a look
yes.
at the Charter of Rights, because I'll remind everyone, the GLP could win. The GLP would have to win 63, all 63 seats, to prevent an opposition leader from appointing opposition senators. Because once there is one opposition member in the lower house, that person becomes the opposition leader.
Definitely.
And therefore appoints 8 senators. And the challenge around all of this SOE drama is obviously the extension. And once the opposition can vote it down in the Senate, it will not continue.
It will not continue.
And it raises serious questions I've asked about whether unelected members of the Senate should have that power. I've also questioned whether people who have faced the electorate and lost and are now in the Senate should have the power to block what the democratically elected government is doing.
You're talking about constitutional reform.
I am talking about constitutional reform.
That's what you're
and
talking about.
And I've said that this idea, we're out of time, but I just want to say this idea that we're going to appoint independent senators and then not allow the independent senators to have a voice and a say in the extension mechanisms, I don't agree with it. If you're going to appoint them, they must have equal power to the government and opposition senators. Because ultimately, you know, Prof,
yes,
what we've done is to create a situation where these things are just government versus opposition, and the politics
gets in the middle.
Always.
Always.
So let the independent senators look at the situation and say, okay, it's not justified or it's justified.
Yes.
Short of that, put it to a referendum.
But you know, I love hearing the talk about putting everything to a referendum. A referendum is a very expensive exercise.
You can have it in a general election. Yes. We're having one coming up. Put it on the ballot.
But if you put it on the ballot, the vote will be either person who goes forward in government. That is what we'll see.
Let it be so then, because we are at an impasse and it can't continue.
And we have to. We'll have to make sure that this country is moving forward in some kind of united way to the next level. We have to move on.
Dave
is waving at us. We are really out of time.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you so much. Thank you, YouTubers.
YouTubers, sponsors, callers. Appreciate you.
Everyone. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Good evening.
Keep safe.
This Child's Month, the Design Studio is